What's going on, freaks? I guess that's the appropriate name. Being this is the Wrestling Estate Freak Show podcast. Back once again for episode 7. My name's Jack Goodwillie, your charming host, and today I'm joined by a very special guest on a very special episode of the Freak Show. I'll be going on a deep dive into the 2018 Mae Young Classic with Jenna from Jenna's Beauty Slam, and a new contributor to the Wrestling Estate. So, Jenna, how you doing tonight?
Hello, I am doing wonderful. Excited to be here. Excited to get to talk about this with you. Happy to be here.
Yeah, well, it's good to have you. I always like getting fresh voices on the podcast, and that's kind of why I do this rotating co-host thing. Nobody really does it, and it definitely gives a different perspective. We've got some unique people in this. I don't know the gender neutral term for fraternity. I think it would just be fraternity.
Actually, I was in a sorority in college, and the proper name for sorority is women's fraternity. So really, even if you use fraternity, you're using the preferred nomenclature.
Okay, good to know. We learn something new every day here. So yeah. We've got the 2018 Mae Young Classic coming up, and actually, it's already taped. It really snuck up on me. I knew the air day wasn't. I knew the air day wasn't going to be for about another month, but if you're going to do that, why tape it now?
I know. I've wondered the same thing because in the age of the internet, nothing is secret anymore.
No,
nothing.
No, and naturally you're going to have spoilers, and I don't mind that. But for the Cruiserweight Classic, they did it in kind of like intervals, and I don't think the lag time was as bad at last year's Classic.
It wasn't. It almost felt like they synced up scheduling dates with everything because they did a huge bracketology special on the network for the Mae Young Classic, and it was great. It was really well done, and it almost feels like because they're doing, and this is me being cynical, and I tend to do that, but it almost feels like because they've got this Evolution pay-per-view where they're going to be holding the finals, that they've kind of swept under the rug the pomp and circumstance that they did for it last year. Like, yeah, we're going to do it and it's all happening, but let's wait and really blow it up around time for Evolution. And maybe that's just me.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And that was something I meant to bring up with this Evolution show coming up. I think they thought it prudent to kind of delay, or not so much delay, maybe push back the airing of the Classic just to kind of coincide with that a little bit. And I believe the final is happening on that show. Is that right?
Yeah, they're actually going to have the finals on the pay-per-view itself. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that might not be terrible. But it's just Looney Tunes with this company sometimes. I'll tell you what.
It's just a long time to stretch out a tournament. From August, September, October, you're stretching out a tournament that could theoretically run 6 weeks, and you're stretching it out almost 3 full months.
Yeah, and I don't know why they couldn't just book the venue multiple nights. I mean, no need to just scrunch it all in and then just have everybody's ass like hanging out there until the inevitable final.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Well, I think this falls back on the first article I wrote for the Wrestling Estate was on the women's division in WWE specifically, and it always feels like WWE, with their ham-fisted efforts to seem like they are all pro women, they'll take one giant step forward, but then they take 4 steps back. And you always just feel like you're on a hamster wheel. Like, yeah, I mean, you did this, but you're still doing this, and this too.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how it feels. Like, yeah, you've got this great Mae Young Classic, but you're not promoting it really. And because last year they had Serena Deeb, who had prior experience, in the Straight Edge Society. They had numerous names that had some face value, and they were really promoting those. And this year, I really had to dig to find out everyone who was in it. And there are some real names. We'll get into it, but Allison Keenez, Nicole Matthews, some real names in women's wrestling. And the fact that they just don't seem to be gung-ho about promoting it. I don't know.
It's very odd. I'll come out and say they've got some real dummies working in that company in the marketing department. I know, there's one guy that's, just kind of signs off on everything, sure, but the whole pro women thing is interesting to me because it's not like we're awarding suffrage here. This is just, them finally coming around on the idea that women can be competent wrestlers, but now they're in a position to where they're saying everything's good, and it just dummies everything down because you don't. Where am I going with this? They're all pro. They're taking this all pro women approach, and the fact is, whether it's men's wrestling or women's wrestling, there's also good wrestling and bad wrestling. But now, because they're trying to market the shit out of their women almost to a fault and a disservice to them, it's like all women's wrestling is like phenomenal now, even when it's not.
And and right now they've painted themselves into a little bit of a corner because they have now fed Asuka to Carmella and weakened Asuka's character when Asuka should be one of your upper echelon talents. She should be, I call them makers and breakers. They're the ones who should be the upper echelon of your division. It should be, really, theoretically, it should be Charlotte, Becky, Natalia, Sasha Banks, and Alexa Bliss. Those should be like your tastemakers in your division. And they should, even if they're not holding a title, they should be in the periphery at any given time of that title scene. And when you give all of this fanfare to someone like Carmella, whose entire offense is screaming, there are no offensive moves, and selling and screaming are not the same thing.
Yeah,
they're not.
And I've ranted. I rant about Carmella all the time on this show. Like, I just don't think she can stack up with the current roster. I mean, you're putting over all these girls for their work rate, and she can't work at all. Like she's probably the second worst worker on SmackDown after Lana. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. I was actually about to say, just like I named like your tastemakers, your make and break, and it's like people always say when we get upset when so-and-so in the male division isn't getting pushed. No, not everyone can main event. Not everyone can be world champ.
Right.
But you also have to have those women that eat the pinfalls to build up your next group. And for me, the pinfall eaters should be Carmella, Lana, Dana Brooke, like people like that. Those are the people who need to lose to put over your mid-range to future tastemaker girls. And then you've got people like Naomi who are just kind of floating. Naomi, I think, doesn't get her due. I know that she, won at Mania in her hometown, but she, for my money, carried the Money in the Bank ladder match. And I don't think she gets put in the title picture nearly enough. But that's just a side note. But yeah.
Interesting.
Dana Brooke, Lana, and Carmella in particular are the ones who should be eating pinfalls to elevate other women.
Well, the reason why people kind of shower like people like Paul Heyman with all this praise, right, is because they were so good at accentuating strengths and hiding weaknesses. These girls can't wrestle, right? But in the case of especially Lana and Carmella, they are at worst serviceable on the mic. I know Lana does the fake accent, but she was,
she doesn't anymore. That's what's crazy. Yeah. Is in the last month, it's just ceased to exist. Suddenly, she's not Russian anymore, like at all.
Well, yeah. Cat was out of the bag a while ago.
Oh, right. Well, when her softcore porn pics leaked, we kind of knew, oh, okay, she's not a Russian go figure.
Right. Right. But it's just like, why does everybody have to be a wrestler, even if they can't wrestle? It's,
Yeah.
Frustrating.
Agreed. And right now, like, you've got people like the Iconics that they've pulled up, who I keep hearing about how great they are. And I know they're heels, so they're supposed to be unlikable, but they're not, to me, for my money, they're not unlikable on the mic.
Agreed.
They're unbearable. They're unbearable.
Oh. Wow.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just the writing.
Maybe it is. The character, I know they're supposed to be snooty booty, we're better than you types, but they come across like it seems like there's probably like a third Iconic, like off the hard camera, holding up a poster board with their lines on it, because every time I watch them, they kind of nervously bobble lines between the two of them, like, they're jealous of us. Ha, ha. Oh man.
Not bad. I always found them to be charming and funny. So I don't really see them as these great heels at all. But I will say that as far as in the ring, Peyton Royce was in some big NXT matches, and she's kind of bad. Yeah. I mean, she's not. I wouldn't say that she's as bad as Lana and Carmella, but she's probably in the next tier, and Billie Kay's probably right there with her.
And again, the issue is, and we were talking about this around the last pay-per-view, is that it feels like that John Laurinaitis thinking is starting to kind of permeate the women's division again. For a while, we were elevating women who were good, and it feels like in order to truly have staying power, you have to have a boob job and blonde hair, or at the very least, a big boob job. And it's not a coincidence that the week after Peyton and Billie came back from getting their boobs done, they were shot up to the main roster. Alexa Bliss got her second boob job, and boom, she cashes in and gets the title again. Like, come on, that's so transparent. Like, and I understand, like, you want to look good on camera and everything, but we're supposed I was under the impression that this was supposed to be like a what happened to the Nia Jax bullies get their asses kicked storyline. And and poor Mickie James. Mickie James has had to shoulder the absolute worst women's storylines that company has ever put out. She had to suffer through Piggy James years ago, only for them to bring her back and, oh, okay, now you're old. Now we're going to talk about you being old. It's like she can't win for losing. You know?
She looks great.
She's hotter than a lot of those girls.
Yeah.
But she doesn't do herself any favors when she comes out to the ring dressed like a peacock with a mohawk at WrestleMania. Like, what are you wearing, Mickey? Good googly moogly. I love her to death, though.
Yeah, me too. They just tend to overdo it with a lot of the talent.
Yes.
You know, it's kind of sad. But it's funny. I'm trying to pull this up on my phone. It's funny that you mentioned the blonde hair and the boobs, because Dave Meltzer was talking about this commonality that he's seen in how there's always like a blonde woman in these main event matches, and someone sent him an incredible statistic of almost like the number is unreal to me. I trying to find it now, but an unreal streak of main event women's title matches where at least one of the participants has blonde hair.
Is that the one where it says going back to like 2011?
Yeah, that's it.
Or something.
That's it.
Going back to like 2011, just about, I think almost every single either main event main event for the women or whatever, title match for women has had a blonde. Yeah. That's what I mean about just going back to that John Laurinaitis way of thinking. Because, you know, when John Laurinaitis was over the Divas division, that's when it was Kelly and
Kelly is a
Candice
main event
Michelle.
wrestler. I remember that.
She never could learn how to run the ropes, but yeah, let's put a title on her. She can do a cartwheel. That's good enough.
You know, Candice, all Candice needed to do was do that thing where she like twirls, and maybe that entrance
where she rips her jacket open.
yeah.
I mean, for what it's worth, Candice Michelle made legitimate effort to improve. So I don't come down as hard on her as some of the other, like Joy Giovanni and Crystal Marshall and some of those girls who were barely in for a cup of coffee.
Yeah, they didn't last too long.
No. So, I mean, I give it to Candice Michelle because she actually, like, gutted it out and followed that brutal, grueling travel schedule and made her shows and did what was asked of her. So, as annoying as the fact that her finisher was called the Candy Wrapper, I give her credit for she did what she had to do. She improved and she worked her butt off. So I don't drag her as much as I do some of the others. Kelly was always a thorn in my side. I always thought Maurice was underrated. I don't know. I've just always really liked Maurice. Something about her character was very well put together. Like her gestures.
She had a presence to her.
She did. And I don't know if you've watched Ms. and Mrs., but
can't say I have.
I'm a big fan of Ride Along. That's one of my favorite network shows. Yeah. And a couple of months ago, Ms. and Maurice did a ride along. And I remember telling everybody, I tweeted it out, these two need their own show. I don't want to see them on that Total Divas garbage. I don't want Total Bellas type garbage. I'm very anti-Bella.
It's porn level acting with the Bellas. I've said that before.
God, that's insulting porn stars. I mean, at least porn stars actually like sign up for something and follow through. The Bellas are just, are my boobs on camera? Okay, buy stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
Nikki Bella for me, like I do on my new YouTube channel, shameless plug, but I do a series called This Week in Sparkle where every Friday I just kind of go over whatever is in pop culture for the week. And last week when Nikki Bella and John Cena broke up again, Nikki Bella was quoted as saying, "I ruined everyone's fairy tale." And I actually just, when I read that, actually said out loud, "Bitch, are you kidding me? Nobody cares what you think. You know, you matter because John Cena's banging you, not because you're important."
It's true.
You know, literally.
Let's call it a spade. Let's call a spade here. The Bellas got into wrestling for the sole purpose of fame and notoriety.
Absolutely. I've called them the Belladashians for years because they're Kardashian wannabes.
Now, I think along the way, you know, do I think that Brie and Daniel Bryan have a great loving marriage? Yeah, I do. I think they found that along the way. But
yes, and I do think that Brie is infinitely, she's a different person when she's not around Nikki. It's so strange. Like you can tell, like, yeah, like Brie, you can tell, like, thinks about things that are not Brie, which I don't get any indication that Nikki thinks of anything else besides Nikki. But Brie seems like a caring person, a compassionate person. You know, she also strikes me as someone who would just be an incredible mom to that little girl because she just seems very, compassionate isn't the word that I'm looking for, but just kind-hearted. You know, they're such cute little crunchy vegans. She and Daniel Bryan, I think, are adorable together. It feels real.
Agreed.
It feels real. Yeah.
Yeah. It is funny, this Nikki and Cena angle and just everything that even John has done to try and sell it. Like remember that interview we did on Good Morning America?
Oh God.
They're like drinking shit. He's drinking champagne with the female host. They're like patting him on the back, and it's all like, "Woe is me."
Yes, and I want to grab him by the shoulders. I'm like, dude, you've got a cigar room in your house that's bigger than my entire house. Why are you doing this? You don't need this publicity. You don't need this. And it just, when I see a man, and I hate to say this, but when I see a man get got like that, like, come on, dude. We know you're acting. John's not a bad actor. I enjoy him in movies.
He's gonna be a big.
He was hysterical in Trainwreck.
Yeah, he was, and Blockers. I just saw that last month.
Oh, I need to see that. I'm sure that's hilarious.
Oh, his comedic timing's really good. He's gonna be a big star in a lot of those Judd Apatow style movies if they want to keep using him that way.
Oh, he's perfect for that. You can tell John Cena's a really smart guy. And I've said it for years, like people want to dog on him because he was the company guy and the face of the company. But if you go back and even watch like interviews of his from like Howard Stern in like 05,
I saw that. I've seen that.
Where he talks about sleeping with the heavy set stripper. What kills me is he's like, yeah, I broke the 250 mark. And Howard Stern says, are you kidding me? And John goes, she had beautiful skin. Like, I couldn't help but crack up at
with
that.
With a smile on his face, too.
It's
just grinning.
And he's so, even as he's telling that story, he still comes across as affable and likable. Like, he doesn't come across like he's being pompous or arrogant or braggadocious. It's just, yeah, I did it. She had beautiful skin. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
And I've seen, like, he gave the commencement address at his high school. And it was a great speech. Like, I see stuff like that, and I tell people that's why he's the face of the company, not just for the hustle, loyalty, respect, and the merch and all of that. It's because he, through and through, is that person. He does the Make-A-Wishes. He does the commencement addresses. He's a solid, intelligent, good dude through and through. You need that in a company.
Yes, you do, especially in that era, in this era.
Yes. And I guess that's all the more reason why I didn't understand the connection with him and Nikki, because she's one of those who tells everyone that she does charity work, and she's quick to tell everyone she's a philanthropist, but
yeah. She's a good marketer, and
yeah,
she's got her strong points. I can name 2 of them.
Yeah, absolutely. She spent a fortune on them,
left and right.
Yes. Oh well, I've made up a little song to go with her theme song. Like when they first got engaged, I made up a song. I'm like, John, if you marry this girl, all you're gonna hear is, "You can look, but you can't touch." All this money's for my boobs and butt.
Wow.
Yep.
That's amazing. That should go on Reddit. It's that
good. Yes.
Yeah.
Put me on R² circle. I'll be famous.
Yes. It'll be the shit post of a lifetime.
Absolutely.
No, I'm over. I'm like you. I'm over the whole idea of John Cena. Like people like getting tired of him booing him, and I'm over that. I'm over that. When I was a kid, John Cena was the man. He was one of the reasons I got into wrestling. I was flipping through the channels one night, and I was kind of at that age where I could kind of watch whatever I wanted, and I wasn't being shielded by violence anymore. And I see John Cena picking a fight with the Undertaker. I'm like, this dude's tough. And then he stood up to him in the match, and he almost beat him. And so I just kind of like believed that booking. And I just kind of took it as John Cena is the toughest, the baddest man on the planet, and I want to be just like him.
He was great, especially like the early like Word Life John Cena when he came up with the little raps and everything. Mm-hmm. Like that was creative, and he did it very well.
It was him.
Now I'm clearly much older than you, as evidenced by when you got into wrestling. So
I'm 25.
Oh boy.
For the
I'm 36. Okay.
All right.
So yeah, I've been watching wrestling since 1986, 87.
Wow.
Yeah, I grew up on the Bobby Heenan Gorilla Monsoon days. But I will say this, some people dip in and out of wrestling, and I will say that John Cena pulled me back in when I had kind of veered away for a while. He was that strong a character.
Yeah, I agree. He made me believe as a kid, and I always say, like, if I were to ever book wrestling, I'd be booking for, if I'm a kid watching this, what am I going to believe and what am I going to want to see? And even if I'm giving them something that they don't want to see, how is it going to make them want to come back and see the end conclusion of how this issue turns out?
Right, right.
Makes sense to me.
There aren't any this social media era that we're in, where everyone kind of goes in and out of character as they please. It's very hard to. I can't look at Seth Rollins as like larger than life, because it's not. His name's Colby Lopez, and I know that he likes to play Ninja Turtles video games. Like, that's who that is. And that's what I see when I go there. And there's nothing wrong with that. He's still just as hot, and he's just as good in the ring. But I don't see him as this larger than life world beater, And
yeah,
I don't have the hatred for Roman Reigns that everyone does, because I think that a lot of what people hate about him are things that he's not doing. He didn't go to Vince McMahon and say, hey, make me the man. Vince chooses that. Now, if you were a wrestler and this is what you'd always wanted to do, and the owner of the company is pushing you, are you going to say, I don't think the fans are behind it, let's not do? No, you're not. You're going to be like, hell yeah, let's roll.
No, I wouldn't say that, but I would, campaign for a heel turn to protect the long-term sustainability of my character.
Sure.
And I would have done it.
And that is one thing that Cena never did. That's one thing Cena should have done, and he never did. But I call it Hogan syndrome. They have that fear of their character. I think they fear that they'll go to the land of no return, and they won't be able to bring back what they had.
Yeah, but John was always true to his character, and what the goals of it were. Roman kind of plays a heel and then gets booked like a babyface. We're talking about this anti-bullying stuff. He kind of he made fun of Baron Corbin's baldness and then sucker punched him backstage, and we're supposed to get behind that with this anti-bullying thing. You know what I mean?
It's an interesting. I made this connection when I was actually talking on Squared Circle on Reddit about this like 2 or 3 days ago. But what other babyface was booked in very heelish ways, but shown through as a babyface no matter what, was Hulk Hogan. If you go back and watch Hulk Hogan's reactions to things and a lot of his behaviors in ring, a lot of the stuff he did was complete heel behavior. But
give me an example.
Okay. When the Mega Powers first aligned, right? He never ever stepped out of the way and let Randy Savage shine on his own. Like WrestleMania 4, when Savage won that grueling, long, agonizingly boring tournament and won the Winged Eagle belt, first man to hold that title. Who shows up in the ring and does not get out of the ring? Hulk Hogan. Shakes his hand like 6 times, points to him. That's Hogan's time to shine. Get out of the ring. The Royal Rumble, when Sid pulled him out and kept him from winning. The winner couldn't even celebrate because Hogan was throwing a hissy fit. It's not fair. It's not fair. It doesn't matter now. We have a winner and it's not you. But Hogan completely overshadowed that. And a lot of times his moves in ring, like if he was being overpowered at some point, he would do the dastardly back rake when, just, or numerous times he'll like, when the ref isn't looking, like thumb an eye. Like I've seen him do that. And it's just things that your good guy's not supposed to do.
Interesting point. I think when people think of those Hogan like maneuvers, they think of the heel Hogan, but you say that he was doing that all along.
This was in the heart of red and yellow Hogan.
I see.
Yeah.
I see.
Go back and watch WrestleMania 4. Go back and watch those like late 80s, early 90s Royal Rumbles. Watch how he interacts with people. A lot of his behaviors are very much heel behaviors, but because he was Hogan, it was glossed over.
Well, as we found out later in his career, he turned out to be a natural heel.
Yes.
And he was always notorious for going into business for himself.
Right.
But I don't know if it's really reflective of him as a person. I don't know what kind of person he is. I just think he was very self-serving sometimes.
Right.
And
I always have to play devil's advocate a little bit there too, because wrestling is such a cutthroat business. Here today, gone tomorrow. It's cyclical. No one person is irreplaceable, So once you get a spot on top, you probably by hook or by crook want to keep it any way you can. So I get that too. That's how you're feeding your family. That's how you're paying your bills. And like Bret Hart even said, once I reached the top of the mountain and got to dip my cup in, and I saw what those pay-per-view checks look like, I wanted to dip my cup in and never stop. I get it, So, I mean, I understand the motivation behind it, but it doesn't make him a less crappy dude for doing it.
Sure. These top guys, yeah. These top guys have a way of dealing with doing things like that in the ring and just trying to maximize their minutes. Like I remember Stevie Richards telling a story about how when TNA was doing that Extreme 2.0 storyline, Mick Foley was cutting the promo and he's like intentionally like hogging the camera and making himself as big as possible with all the other guys behind him. And it was for that reason, because he had the wherewithal to know that, I'm the show, and I've got the microphone. And also when they came out,
you want to see,
when they came out with the poster for that, he was like significantly bigger than all the other guys behind him.
Huh? It's
that
how
type
you
of thing
appear in the eyes of the fans, and
totally
doing what you can to control how you are seen in the eyes of the fans. Makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Wow, that was quite the tangent. I am
so sorry.
We really went down a rabbit hole.
Yeah, me, I am the queen of just the wrist and pulling you miles away from where we were.
That's okay. That's what the show's all about. One last question before we really start to dig deep on last year's Mae Young Classic and then this year's. From a cosmetic standpoint, what's up with the hair extensions on these women that already have like really long hair? Because if you look at the UFC and they're like, if we're to pretend this is a shoot, they've all got their hair up. They've got it back in cornrows and stuff. And that would make sense, especially if I'm getting in a fight. If I'm getting in a fight and I've got all that long hair, I'm not going to want to make that hair longer, right? I'm going to want to try and keep it out of my eyes. What's up with that, do you think?
As I'm a makeup artist for a living. I do make hair and makeup for a living. And I call it Maxim model glam, because that's what they're doing. And really and truly, like I've seen people online talk about it too, how it seems like every week the girls are wearing more makeup. And I get it. They want to look their best. And even though they're women competitors, WWE is never not going to be looks centric. But it's not uncommon at all for like bikini models and things like that, or models to want long, usually waist length is what everyone goes for, because it's the easiest to blow dry really quickly, run a curling iron through, and you'll notice just about every single one of them, no matter what color their hair is or how long the extensions are, it's basically long with a little bit of a curl at the end. It's styled the exact same way. The longer the extensions, the easier it is to run a brush through it and send them on their way. So I think some of it is just because they all want to look glam. It's a shortcut. Just throw some extensions in, run a curling iron through it, and be on your way. The thing that gets me more than just the extensions with the women, and this is something that guys probably won't notice because you're guys and y'all don't use this kind of stuff, but fake eyelashes. Like, I follow the WWE Glam Squad on Instagram. And so a lot of times they'll post a picture of Paige or Naomi, Alexa Bliss, Natalia, whoever they really glammed up that night, and they want to show off that look. And they're stacking like 1, 2, 3 sets of these mink or silk eyelashes. That, as someone who's worn them, that can mess with your vision. Because it's literally just like a little strand of lashes that you bend and then latex glue down to your eye and line it up with your eyelashes. So as soon as you get sweaty or if your eye waters, it's going to break the bond that's holding, because it's basically liquid latex holding on the lashes. And as soon as that pops off, you've got this little plastic lash that's just going to poke you in the eye every time you blink. I'm like, shouldn't we avoid that? Especially when we're punching in the face and pulling hair and doing headlocks. To me, it seems like a major liability, even more so than the extensions are.
Yeah. And I'm not even saying it's a liability. I'm not saying that I even have a problem with it. I'm just saying that sometimes
it's bizarre.
Sometimes I don't feel like it serves the purpose of what they're intending it to be. If that makes sense.
Right.
Like, for example, Ronda Rousey.
If you notice, I was about to say Shayna Baszler and Ronda Rousey don't look like that.
Well, I don't think Shayna I forget. Does Shayna wear makeup in the ring? I forget. I know she does, like when she's cutting promos.
I don't think so.
I think
she's still. I think she goes straight forward, like out there to kick butt.
Yeah, but then we'll see Ronda Rousey out there, and we've watched her in the UFC all these years, and she'll come out now, and she'll sometimes just look completely different than what we remember.
Honestly, I got into it with someone on Twitter about this, but I said part of the reason Ronda Rousey had heat when she first started in WWE was she came with her own hair and makeup team, her own personal masseuse, wanting her own dressing room, which for all of her talk of not wanting to be treated differently, she sure came in with a...
Is that true?
Yes. She has her own dressing room. Everything I've read says so. And it's clear, as a makeup artist, it's clear as a bell that she's not using the same makeup artist as the other girls, because if it was me, I would fire my makeup and hair team if that's what they sent me out there looking like.
I think I saw you say that.
They send her out there No. She's a pretty girl, and they find a way to mess that up.
She is.
Like, Ronda Rousey has that natural kind of sweet girl next door face. You don't have to work hard to make that pretty. And it's like somehow they work hard to make her unpretty. Like, don't do that to her. Flat iron her hair, put on some mascara, some lip gloss, and send her on her way. She doesn't need any help to be cute.
Well, like you said, 1 step forward, 4 steps back. Right?
Exactly.
All right, that should bring it pretty much full circle. With that being said,
back to the ladies.
Let's talk about last year's Mae Young Classic. Unlike our editor-in-chief John Corrigan, I did watch every match, I did watch every match, and I was impressed by what they did. Juan Batista just put an article up for the Wrestling Estate saying that WWE can't do tournaments, and I gotta respectfully disagree in some context. I have loved the Cruiserweight Classic. I
Yes.
loved both UK tournaments, and I loved last year's Mae Young. As far as the King of the Ring stuff and everything on the main roster, well, let's throw that out the window. But as far as these go, there's been good storytelling. The matches kind of roll together in some ways. Like you'll have guys coming out selling injuries from previous matches, and it really feels like a real tournament. You feel the level of desperation in the competitors. That they're more than just happy to be there, like a lot of the main roster guys are. No, I've been thrilled with all of these network special tournaments they've done, and I don't think this year's Mae Young Classic will be any exception.
No, I don't either.
Yeah, what did you like about last year's tournament?
First and foremost, just the fact that there were women who had really put in time, like Kairi Sane. I'm glad to see her finally getting some real deal, like American television shine. And not to really dwell on her, but the one that really jumped out to me was Serena. It was almost like a chance at redemption for her, because she was on the main roster in one of the hottest storylines of the last decade and did the worst possible thing you can do being in that storyline, and it just all fell apart for her. And getting to see her get out there, even though she didn't win and she didn't totally dominate, it was still redemption for her. And it was good to see stories like that. Every woman was given her story, and you understood why each woman was there, and you understood why they wanted to be there, what it meant to them. And that built with, like what you said, seeing them all selling injuries from previous matches. And they don't hide previous connections. Like if this girl and this girl had a feud in Shimmer, it's going to get acknowledged, and there's going to be dirty looks. And if they meet in the ring, you're going to know there's bad blood here. Right. I think that's the difference between the main roster tournaments, like what Juan was talking about, and these.
Yeah,
main roster tournaments don't get this deep, but these, it's almost like the sky's the limit. You can tell the story you want to tell.
Right. The main roster tournaments, it's just a series of matches. This is a tournament,
right?
And they really sell it as being important.
I know. There's several girls who, especially like in this year's, that I was hoping for last year. Girls that, like I said, Allison Kay. A lot of people know her as Sienna from TNA. Ashley Rain, who we know as Madison Rain, right, of course, also from TNA, one of the beautiful people. I can never say her name right. Io Shirai from Japan. Is it Io?
I think so.
She is amazing. There's another girl. Caitlin. I'm not a Caitlin fan at all in any way, shape, form, or fashion, but this could be another redemption story. I thought that
she's in the Serena Deeb spot.
Yes. And I know that like Big E, and she was really close with that clique of NXT people, but I thought she was horrendous on the mic, and I thought she really only had good matches if she was working with AJ.
Well, if you remember, when she first came into the company, I was reading a lot of stuff online about them wanting to push her as the new Trish Stratus, almost like the Hulk Hogan of the women's division. And then it just never got off the ground.
Trish Stratus, if Trish Stratus got hit in the face with a frying pan.
You think Caitlin's ugly?
I think she's hideous. And it's not. I'd be willing to bet before she got her chin done, her cheeks done, her nose done, her eyes done again, her eyes done a third time, before the 4 boob jobs, before the lipo, she was probably an actually really pretty girl. And when I see her now, it's not. I don't see a confident woman who's going out there and kicking butt. I see someone who felt the need to change every single thing about herself. That is upsetting to me. Like, that doesn't make me feel empowered, and it doesn't make me feel like she's empowered. Like, yeah, Nikki Bella got a boob job, but her face is the same. You know, the Iconics, yeah, they got a boob job, but their faces are the same. They haven't gone out and jacked up and redone everything. And Caitlyn, stack pictures of her today beside pictures of her for when she first started in NXT. And you will think they're two different people. Like, that's scary.
Well, I haven't actually seen any recent pictures, although she did have a video online that I did see, but she didn't look all that different than when she was in WWE last, so it might just be old.
Maybe
she was wearing less clothes though.
Yeah, and that's another thing. Like, every picture you see of her, it's like you don't see face, but it's boobs. Have you seen my boobs? Boobs. Boobs. My name is Boobs. Like, we get it, Caitlyn.
She is jacked though. You can't deny that. She puts in some serious hours in the gym.
He does. She does.
Oh my god. Wow, I didn't
Sorry, I have no filter. For the longest time, like, she is, to quote Austin Powers, she is rather mannish.
I love those movies.
Me too. And every time I see her, that's what I hear in my head is, she is rather mannish.
All right.
Like, if I had never heard her cut a promo, I would swear that she'd be like, "Do you want me to call this, or are we gonna do this on the fly, bro?"
Oh my god. Well,
okay, bro.
Well, how about we don't roast Caitlyn again until we talk about her match?
Touche.
But no, personally, if we're talking about last year's tournament, I liked all the video packages they did for each woman.
Yes.
They made it seem like everybody, regardless of the amount of experience they had, was a threat to win the tournament.
Right.
And it was just
the bracketology nice special they did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it? I think it was Lita and Corey Graves that hosted it.
Yes,
and
it was.
I was riveted by that because, yes, each one of them spoke up, and I have no doubt, because both of them had Lita and Corey Graves. We know Corey Graves was, Sterling James Keenan, and, Lita did extensive time on the indies as well, Mexico, Puerto Rico, et cetera, et cetera. And so they know and knew a lot of these people. Wrestling, everybody knows everybody. Everybody's worked together here, there, and everywhere. And that added a really interesting element for me too, was hearing Corey say, "Oh yeah, this girl, I actually worked with her several years ago on a couple of shows in, Henderson, Lickville, Kentucky, and being able to add insight to girls and just let you know that these girls are not wannabe models trying to use WWE as a stepping stone. These are wrestlers. These girls want to show you what they can do in the ring." And it really drove home the point that every single one of these girls wants this as a wrestler, and they want to compete as a wrestler. And I think that's what is important to me in a woman competitor. Does that make sense?
It does. And on that front, I completely agree. Let me ask you this before I kind of just give out like a couple of my favorite matches of last year's tournament. What did you think of the Lita Jim Ross commentary team? Now this year we're going to be getting Michael Cole, Renee Young, and Beth Phoenix, I believe.
Yes, and I am very excited for this.
Yeah, the only thing, so first, let me just say that I wanted Mauro Ranallo doing this tournament. Not going to get him, but I will say that whenever Michael Cole has gotten to do things away from the main roster, whether it's his commentary work overseas in these network specials or it's him doing the UK tournament, he's actually very good.
Yeah.
So I don't think that'll be a huge hindrance. I don't love Renee Young on the announcers table because part of her charm, is her looks, and you're not going to be in front of the camera as much, which is why I don't really get the appeal of Vince McMahon trying to find like these Michael Cole broadcaster types and shying away from the Jim Rosses because they don't look good, because we're not seeing them.
Right.
It really defeats the purpose. It's kind of warped. But a lot of people were critical of Ross and Lita. Jim's been getting a lot of criticism over the last year for his New Japan work. What did you think of that?
Which I thought was great. I really enjoyed his New Japan work. I really did. I'm a huge JR fan. He would have to truly bomb for me to just not enjoy what he's doing. I'm a diehard Lita fan. I love her to pieces. That said, I don't think she's the best public speaker, and her passion is there, and I know that she knows what she's doing in the ring. But sometimes you can be really good at something, but you're just not great at vocalizing it or explaining it or teaching it. And I feel like there's that disconnect there. She can kick ass in the ring, but I feel like she doesn't quite have and I don't know what the word is that I'm looking for, but she's not articulate in the way that you need to be quick and fast on your toes with commentary.
Couldn't agree more. I don't want to say that Jim Ross has regressed in any way. I mean, I'm sure he has. I mean, we all get old. We all start doing things a little slower than we used to, and we become a little more fragile than we once were.
And he's Jim Ross. If he wants to rest on his laurels a bit, let him,
Yeah, I don't really see a problem with that. I think he did do his research. I thought he was okay. I don't really think Lita's cut out for the announcing work.
No.
But she was, like you said, she was great in studio. It's like I said, everybody's got a role. They don't all have to do. You don't have to pigeonhole them into doing one thing, even if it's not what they're good at. I thought Beth Phoenix would have been the ideal choice last year after hearing her go on the Edge and Christian podcast and just kind of break the tournament down herself. Right. She was extremely knowledgeable, extremely passionate.
Did you watch the mixed match challenge?
Did you watch any of that? I did. No.
The only reason I ask is Beth Phoenix did commentary for that and was extraordinary. She has this and actually tooting my own horn here, I made a tweet about it and she actually retweeted me. Woo! But she has this beautiful voice. You've heard it from the podcast. Mm-hmm. It's this soft, very pleasant to listen to voice. But when she needs to get a point across, she can make it authoritative and speak with conviction and a sharpness and a quickness of wit that almost belies how sweet her voice is. They're like, she'll go on a tangent and go, yeah, well, if she had done such and such a thing, she wouldn't be in this predicament. And 30 seconds before, she sounded so sweet. And you think, man, she is all right. Okay, Beth, I hear you, girl.
Yeah.
I like her a lot.
Me too. Combine that with the fact that she, in every interview I've ever seen of hers and her Hall of Fame speech and her appearance on the podcast, she comes across as like the nicest human being in the world, which begs the question of why was she a heel for like 75% of her run?
I said this, like, victim of timing syndrome, and I hate like hell that the breadth of her WWE career was when they had that stupid butterfly belt and she was having to work with people like Kelly and Eve Torres was kick-ass, so I don't even want to knock Eve. Eve rocks.
She is. And
but yeah, like they were just, I think Eve said it best on their table for three, that the dinner for three thing they do on the network. It was Maurice, Eve, and Kelly, and they were talking about how the women's revolution, they wanted to start a women's revolution, but like Eve said, we had matches with Beth and Natalia, and we had 4 minutes, including our intros. You know, we had nothing to work with. And I hate that Beth spent the bulk of her career penciled into that time. I think that she would, if she just decided, you know what, I want to try it again, I think there's room for her today on the roster. I think she could get in there and go toe to toe with Alexa Bliss today.
Agreed, especially because she works at a bit of a different pace than a lot of those girls do.
Yes,
it'd be a kind of breath of fresh air. And she's blonde,
yes.
So she could still be in the main event.
And she has fake boobs. She's set. She's done. But
does she still though? I don't know.
I'm a fake boob. I'm a boob sheriff. I'm an expert on boobs. So,
okay.
Yes. Okay. I've examined all. I can tell you who has natural and who doesn't. That's a terrible thing to be proud of. But yes.
Yeah, you and Jerry the King Lawler, right?
Puppies. Yeah.
Puppies, Jerry.
Oh, Jerry Lawler. Lord have mercy. What a dude. What a guy. But yes, I actually tweeted that out too. Like, because Nia Jax recently on her Table for Three said something about how if it wasn't for Beth Phoenix, she would have never been truly inspired to go for it and become a wrestler. And Beth Phoenix was so touched by Nia Jax's words that she actually tweeted out, "When I retired, I worried that my time was wasted and that I didn't accomplish the things that I could have accomplished." And it was just heartbreaking to see that she had those kind of doubts about herself, that Beth Phoenix thought that she didn't make an impact or that what she did didn't matter. And I know I replied, I was like, you know, you were the standout. She and Natalia, for my money, were the stars, the Divas of Doom of that era. They wasted that Divas of Doom thing. That could have been monstrous. That could have been such an awesome thing. And it just got wasted. Once again, one step forward, 17 steps back, WWE. But yeah,
they totally
it broke my heart to see that she thought that.
It wasn't like they didn't have talent for a time. You know, after the Trish and Lita days, then you kind of had Beth Phoenix and Mickie James and Natalia coming up and Eve Torres kind of improving.
Yes.
And
Layla and Michelle McCool both improved.
Yeah.
Michelle McCool was never like a superstar, but Michelle McCool could hang. She was solid.
Yeah. Well, they were pushed heavily for like a 2-year stretch.
But yeah, I don't know why Beth. Like that always drove me crazy because they shot all of this stuff for Beth and Natalia, Pin Up Strong, #Pin Up Strong. And they did this series of vignettes where they were working out in these cute little dresses and high heels and doing these amazing squats and deadlifts. And it was kick ass. It was like telling girls you can be pretty and work out. It was such an empowering concept. And they shot these vignettes and then they just kind of sat on them. Kind of never did anything with it.
Yeah. Well, it's too bad for Beth because Nia Jax is in the wrestling business now and she's kind of relevant. Yeah.
I want to pull for Nia. I want to root for Nia. I do. And I understand her angle and her character. But after a while, if all you ever talk about is body shaming, you go from being like a trailblazer to being the girl that can't stop crying about her fat thighs.
Well, I wouldn't say that she's a trailblazer. There's been bigger women's wrestlers before, and they've all gotten over, and they were all great. Bull Nakano, Awesome Kong is the big one. And then I think those are the big two, really. But then you've also got Piper, or what was her name? I think she wrestles as Viper, actually. But she was in the Mae Young Classic last year. The bigger Scottish girl.
Oh, she's a beast. That's a scary girl, and I mean
She's
that
awesome.
in a nice way. Yeah, I mean that in a good way.
And she's kind of pretty.
Yeah. I always like the ones who come out and are like, "Yeah, I can beat your ass, but I'm also smoking hot." I got a lot of flack for putting Francine on my manager Mount Rushmore.
Oh, hey, I got
and
it.
People are like, and I said no. Everyone always wanted to give Sensational Sherry credit for being sexy. Francine rocked that hardcore in your face sexuality, and she still kick your ass in 8-inch heels with everything but the nipples showing and never knocking one of them bad boys out.
Mm-hmm.
That's badass to me.
Yeah, there's
like I look this good and I don't need you. That's empowerment to me.
I couldn't agree more. I'm doing this TNA watch through right now, and I'm at a point where Francine's kind of feuding with Jasmine St. Clair, and Francine's like the heel, and well, of course she's a heel. She's a great heel, right?
Oh yeah.
But like you stick her next to Jasmine St. Clair, who's like this porn star. She's the Blue Meanies ex. She was like a financial backer of XPW, right?
Right.
And Francine just blows her away in every area, yes, in my opinion.
The girl who's supposed to be the hot porn star, and Francine just without even trying, just standing next to her, just blows her away.
No contest.
Yes.
Okay, well, with that said, let's take a look at this year's bracket. What do you think of before I do though? What do you think of this year's field, Jenna, as compared to last year's field? You do have a lot of the same names.
Do what?
You do have a lot of the same names, but
we do
also some differences.
We do. But there were a few names that I'm excited to see. First and foremost, Toni Storm. She has been on the tip of everyone's tongue for like the last year and a half, 2 years, as when people say, who is WWF or WWE? I can't believe I said that. WWE missing the boat on. And her name is always, it used to be Candice LeRae and Toni Storm. And now that they've got Candice, everyone says, when's Toni Storm getting signed? And so when I saw her name on this roster, I said, okay, go in there and show them what you can do, because she is a butt kicker. And
she was in the tournament last year too. Yes. And I think she made the Final Four.
She did, and maybe it was just me, but I felt like, and maybe it's just me, but I felt like it was almost foreshadowed that she was just there to put over other people, and that she was, that she was there to get to the end, but she was there to make the other girls look strong. Like I felt like she just got booked weaker than she should have been booked.
Interesting.
And maybe it's just bias on my part. It could be. But yeah, I felt like she wasn't booked as strongly as she could have been.
Well, I'll say that it's very easy to be a Toni Storm fan. I think there's 3 women not in the WWE that check every box. Well, not every box, because 2 of them are not blonde, right? But in theory, would check every box they'd be looking for in a potential face of a women's division. And if I'm running a wrestling company, any of these 3 could do the job. And one of them is Toni Storm, and then the other 2 are Santana Garrett and Tessa Blanchard. I just think they're phenomenal.
Santana Garrett. Love Santana Garrett. I like Tessa Blanchard. This is gonna sound hateful, and here it comes. Please. Another one of those Jenna roasts. Okay, did you by any chance watch Sesame Street at all growing up?
Sure.
Okay, do you remember the guy? His name was Guy Smiley. He was the game show host.
Yeah, I have to see a picture of him though.
On my Instagram, I have put a picture of Tessa Blanchard and Guy Smiley side by side.
Oh no!
Tessa Blanchard looks like Guy Smiley's daughter.
Well, Tessa Blanchard looks like her father a lot in the face. So,
and in her movements in the ring, she's got that. No, don't get me wrong. Like I'm cracking a joke that she looks like she could be Guy Smiley's daughter, but that girl is a star. That girl is a star through and through. I am not bashing her. Like,
oh, I just saw it.
Yeah.
Oh my god. I mean, I think the skin tone is really where
it's the shape of her face. Like, she's got that chiseled jawline, and you're right, it's because she's super, super tan right now. Yeah. And she's got that jet black hair. But yeah, the side by side of Guy Smiley and Tessa Blanchard.
Well, listen, I'm glad you think so, because I watched her on the recent TNA Slammiversary, and I was blown away by her just
badass
presence and her. She's jacked. Like she looks incredible. I think I think she's incredibly attractive as well. I don't care about the whole Guy Smiley thing.
No, like I say that, but I'm not knocking her. Like she's a star. Like that's the only word that I keep coming back to for Tessa Blanchard. She is a star.
Yeah, and I know
it's just a matter of time for her. It really is.
For sure. I know she signed this contract with Impact, so she'll be around for a little bit.
Yeah,
and that's probably for the best. That way later you can maybe do a super fight with her and Charlotte, and it'll just mean that much more.
And God, the match, she and Charlotte and she and Natalya, those are just dream matches. Especially
like
she and Charlotte, though. Huh?
You like Natalya a lot, huh?
Yes. I am a lifelong dyed in the cloth, get into drunken screaming matches at bars over him, Bret Hart fan. So
I like that.
My logo for my company is pink and black. Like I am but Natalya is my girl, and I speak up for her every chance I get, because I don't think that WWE has ever shown her the appreciation that she deserves. Yes, she finally got a run with the SmackDown Women's title, and that was great. But the flatulence storyline and the Great Khali storyline were crimes against humanity. None of the women should have been saddled with that. That should have never happened.
Sadly, though, for me, she's a good hand in the ring. I think she's one of the people that should be putting people over. Personally,
at this point,
because she's so good in the ring, and you can make someone average look better. Yeah. But I also,
she's the one who's been training Ronda Rousey in the ring. She's been like Ronda's go-to training partner.
Right. They kind of they're kind of playing that one out on TV, even though we know where it's obviously going.
Right.
Everything they've ever done to her has been a disservice to her.
Yes.
She's not a heel. And you watch her on these shows like Total Divas. You watch her in interviews outside the ring. Again, this extremely nice, courteous person, just like Beth Phoenix. And then you've got her like playing bad guy on TV, and she can't do it well at all because she's just not that good of a promo. Again, it's accentuating strengths, hiding weaknesses.
Yes. And I mean, right now, because she does the thing where she wears the cat ears and does like paws out, claws out, and all those cute little expressions, that's begging to be merchandise. If she was a baby face, like a full-on baby face,
for sure.
How many of those little headbands do you think they could sell if she was a full-on baby face and incorporated that into they could sell stuffed versions of her cat Two Claws. Or Two Paws, that's him. Two Paws, the cat. They could sell stuffed versions of that for $20, and they'd fly off the shelves. Sell those little headbands like she wears, because they're trendy already in the makeup community. The little headbands that have like the little rhinestone cat ears.
Yeah, and in the anime community.
Yes, $20, and every little girl in the crowd would have one on. Every single one.
I like that idea, actually. But they're insistent on making her do things that are not in service of her. And I think the bloom is a little bit off the rose at this point. But there's no reason why she can't be on TV, helping get people over.
Absolutely. And I
Yeah.
mean, I can't imagine she's wanting to go full force much longer. We're the same age. She's 36 and she's been doing this since she was like 16. So I can't imagine that she's trying to go 300 days a year for another 10 years. Especially with TJ in the
Yeah.
position he's in, I imagine in the next 3 to 4, we'll see her wind down and maybe become a trainer at NXT. It would be cool to have a woman road agent. She'd be great for that. But yeah. And I think what I would like is for her to get one good Mania match and one real good run with the title before she hangs it up for good.
Sounds good to me. Interesting thing, though, just to backtrack a couple steps about Tessa and Tony, is just how young they are. I know Santana Garrett's a little older, but Tony Storm's like
Santana
what?
Garrett? What is she like? She 30?
She's like 30.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, I'm
Um,
sorry. Go ahead.
Still looks good for 30. And then Tony Storm is like 23, and Tessa Blanchard is like 23, I think, as well.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Tessa Blanchard has not been in the business long to have improved. And because I mean, I was working as a ring announcer for a teeny tiny indie, like here in Mobile, Alabama, a few years ago. And she came through and made an appearance for us. And this was only like 3 or 4 years ago. And so the fact that she's tearing the roof off the place on Slammiversary, it's her ascent has been startling.
Yeah, I just think of her at last year's Mae Young Classic, and I thought she was good, especially given the right opponent, but she wasn't
right.
like this elite talent that I see her as now. So the ascent in just that time has been incredible. And by the way, Tony Storm is only 22, which means last year she was 21.
There's so much room for these girls to just blow up. Another girl last year that I thought the world of was Bianca Belair. I don't know why I didn't bring her up earlier. And the gimmick is brilliant, the braid, the whole nine. And I'm glad to see her getting more camera time. Bianca Belair.
She's gonna be a big star.
Yes, she is. I'm dying to see how they merch her. Like, are you going to be able to buy a big fluffy ponytail and put it on?
Yeah, pin it to the back of your head.
Yes, or just like a giant, like, you know how WWE is so tacky. They'll probably just make they'll use like old Dolph Ziggler shirts that didn't sell and just fasten a ponytail to one of those and you just tie it under your chin. WWE stuff tacky.
It'd be like a Saiyan tail. Okay, well, with that said, let's start to dig into this tournament now.
Yes.
A lot of good talent on here. The first match I have is actually I just gotta pull up the list of participants again just to make sure I don't butcher any of these names. Okay, so we've got. That's right. We've got Mako Satomura versus Killer Kelly from Portugal.
Yes.
In the first round, top of the bracket on the left side. Tell Jenna, let's talk a little bit about some of these competitors.
I'm not an expert on these Japanese girls.
Well, Satomura is a longtime veteran of the ring. I was reading.
I have seen more of Killer Kelly's work, believe it or not.
So have I, even still. And that's just because I watched the UK tournament.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm always like reluctant to throw favor one way or the other with matches like this because both girls are competent, both girls are strong, and both girls, that I never want to say, well, I just really think so and so should go over this person, because if you've made it to this tournament, you've got the passion, the drive, and the ability. So I always end up just saying, may the best woman win, because I like Kelly a lot, and I'd like to see Killer Kelly go far. But I don't want to bash Satomura. I'm just not as familiar with her body of work.
Well, interestingly, and I'd heard about this, but I just want to make sure again. Satomura wrestled in WCW, if you could believe that.
Oh, was she a part of the talent exchange with? Was it All Japan? They did it with back in the days of Sonny Ono and
I think it was New Japan.
God, all the guys that they brought, Shinjiro Otani, all of the guys that they brought over. I know that they would do occasional matches. There was a great, it was mid-90s, but it was Medusa and maybe Rhonda Singh versus two great Japanese girls. It was just an awesome like exhibition style match. You know, it didn't matter who went over. They were just putting on a clinic. And she may have been in that group. I don't know how old she is. She'd have to be pretty lengthy veteran to have worked in WCW, though.
Yeah, she's 30. I think she's 38 years old. Is that
okay?
Right?
Yeah. Then yeah, she most likely. That's entirely possible. Then that she worked with like Medusa in that spell. That'd be awesome. I'm gonna have to dig around and see if I can track that down.
Yeah, you should. But hey, you'll have time, right? Because we're not getting this show on the road for another month.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you though. I'd like to see Killer Kelly advance. I liked what I saw at the UK in that triple threat UK tournament match.
Yeah, that's what really sold me on her.
I think the winner was guaranteed a NXT Women's title shot.
Yeah.
Which could be interesting coming down the pipeline. But true to her name, she's got this very aggressive personality. She is Portuguese born, but she speaks perfect English.
Yeah.
Which I think is interesting. But I'm sure she speaks Portuguese just as well. And that could be a name to be on the lookout for, just as far as a uniqueness standpoint. You know, you don't really have a lot of wrestlers that can tap into that Portuguese market and even the Brazilian market, although we do have a Brazilian competitor in this tournament. But she'd be one, and she's good enough in the ring for me. I'd like to see what she can do. So I have her advancing into the second round, where she will face the winner of Mercedes Martinez and Ashley Rain, otherwise known as Madison Rain. One of the more interesting first round matchups we have.
Yes.
Two veterans.
Yes.
Although Rain is not that old. She came into TNA when she was like 21 years old, if you could believe it. So I think she's like 28 now.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think she's even hit 30 yet. Yeah. But Mercedes Martinez, that is one of those names that there's like 5 women who have been active in wrestling for like the last 8-9 years, give or take. And I have been screaming about how they need acknowledgement. And Mercedes Martinez, I have been a flag bearer for Mercedes Martinez for years. She's had great matches with another one of my favorites, Lufisto, and another one of my favorites, Jessica Havoc. I'd like to see those 2 women in a Mae Young tournament. But yeah, they're just, she has been resilient, and she's just got that air about her. She's not a big girl, but her movement in the ring almost, and her attitude and the way she carries herself reminds me a little bit of Sasha Banks, like an edgier, meaner, harder Sasha Banks.
Interesting.
Like a bossy boss. Legit or bosser. I don't know.
Yeah. I didn't quite get that vibe from what I saw of her last year. I haven't seen much of her work. I know she recently appeared in TNA or Impact Wrestling. I'm always going to call Impact TNA.
Me too. Yeah. And I think most everyone does.
It's all good. I mean it in jest. But yeah, I'd heard that she'd been in the business a really, really, really long time.
Yes.
And clearly a ring general, in every sense of the word.
Very much so.
A serious veteran. I was That said, I there were a lot of women last year that I think, how do I put this? Their stars shone brighter, even though they pushed Martinez to the semis last year. Just my thought. And I don't know if it's an age thing, but I do like this matchup a lot with Ashley Rain. And I will say this: I was not. So Ashley Rain also competed in Slammiversary against Su Yung, and I was not impressed with what I saw in that match. I thought that was one of the weaker matches on the show.
Same.
But that said, I know she can have a good match. I've seen it before, and I think we'll see it again here. I've actually got Ashley Rain going over in an upset, because you need upsets.
You do
to do a good tournament, and it could potentially set up an angle down the line, maybe. But I could also see Mercedes going on, because her veteran presence is going to be needed as well. But they're both veterans, so you really could go either way with this one.
Yeah. I feel like they're veterans in different ways.
Yeah.
Mercedes has done the hot dog and a handshake, competing in high school gyms. Really done the nitty gritty, crisscrossing the country for nothing. And Madison Rain, I know that she's worked independent shows, but the width and breadth of her career was TNA as one of the beautiful people, and being, I hate to sound like this, but being Bubba Ray Dudley's girlfriend, that opens doors for you. Are
you that wasn't Madison Rain though? That was
that's Velvet Sky.
That's Velvet Sky. Madison Rain is married to Josh Lomberger, otherwise known as Josh Matthews.
I didn't know his last name was Lomberger. Yeah. Okay. But I don't know why I guess they're just that interchangeable.
And Velvet Sky also dated Chris Sabin for a while, I think.
Did she really? When you travel like that, that's all you know. You only know each other, and there's that familiarity with it. Like, people always say, God, they all hook up with each other a lot. I'm like, man, think about it, man. You're on the road 300 days a year, and you either become family or lovers. Like, that's how that works. You're all each other has. I don't knock wrestlers for that. I get it. You need some closeness. You need that. I get it.
It gets lonely out on the road.
I can't even imagine. Because and all of them will tell you, think about it, you miss weddings, funerals, birthdays. The only other people who can really grasp what it's like to live that lifestyle are other wrestlers. So yeah, I can see totally why they date each other and they click. It's probably nice to have that support from someone who truly understands what you're feeling,
For sure.
But no, like, what's her name? I'm gonna keep calling her Madison Rain. I don't. Is Ashley her real name? Is Ashley her legal name, or are they just giving her another name because it's WWE?
Ashley, sure. I want to say is her real name.
Might be her real first name. I know Rain's not her last name, but
yeah.
I guess like the breadth of her career was like working TNA though, and I feel like her career, she didn't have that nitty gritty scrape and claw for everything you have competitiveness that I get from Mercedes Martinez.
Yeah,
that's why I side with Mercedes.
I get that. And the interesting thing about that scratch and claw grittiness that you say is that all the wrestlers that she came up with have probably left the business. She's really the last of the Mohicans in that sense.
True.
So there's really only one wrestler like her, and that's her. So that can be a value. for sure.
That's true, because I'm trying to think like Lacey Von Erich, um, Angelina Love. Whatever happened to her?
I
Whatever
don't
happened to
know.
her? Wasn't she a beautiful people?
She was, and then she left TNA and then came back recently.
Huh.
She's not there now.
Huh. Yeah, but you're right. Like Ashley Rain kind of stands alone. The last of the beautiful people he can.
Well, she's the last of the beautiful people. I was more talking about Mercedes.
Oh,
because she started so long ago when women's wrestling had no exposure at that point. Because if you remember, you had the Alundra Blaze era, and then it just kind of went nosedive through the beginnings of the the genesis of the Attitude Era, and then it slowly came back as WWE started to hire more women for sex appeal, and that's kind of what led to the creation of a women's division because they just needed something to do with all the women they had in their contract.
True.
So yeah, I'm kind of talking myself into Mercedes here, but I have Madison Rain and Ashley Rain.
Right. I see you're doing the same. I keep calling her Madison. Ashley Rain. Ashley Rain. So you have her as your upset, huh?
Yeah, I think that's I think that's a good upset.
Yeah.
In the
entirely
next match,
plausible.
In the next match, we've got an interesting clash between what looks like. Let me see here. Ah, that's right, Vanessa Craven and Lacey Lane.
Two that I am not super familiar with, and I can't lie.
Interesting. Well, I'm not familiar with them at all either. Vanessa Craven does have
is Canadian.
She is.
Is she one that came from Lance Storm's academy?
Does not appear to be the case.
Okay. I might be thinking that's why I asked. Because I want to say there's a Canadian girl on here who is don't quote me on this, but I think there's a recent graduate from the Lance Storm School. I didn't know if that was Vanessa Craven or not.
Well, we'll get to Rachel Ellering. Of course, she wrestled as Rachel Evers in these types of things, which is Lance Storm's last name, which is kind of like silly in my opinion. But we'll get to her very shortly. She's coming up. But I don't know much about either competitor. I went with Lacey Lane in this one because if you look at her, she's got a very interesting look and persona, I think, that's really going to make her stand out in this type of format.
Same. I said the same thing. I said she has a interesting aura about her.
You could really tell because although they haven't released any videos of like profiling each of the contestants like they did last year. There is a video of them all pretty much introducing themselves. And they're going from woman to woman, and she just kind of stands out to me. So
same here. I said the same thing. Like something about her countenance. I don't know. I was like, don't count her out. I thought that I'm gonna keep an eye on her.
Yeah, and I'm interested to see her wrestle now as a result. Yes. Amazing how marketing works, huh?
Right.
We go for full circle in the Wrestling Estate Freak Show.
Yes, we do.
So yeah, I got Lane advancing in that one into the second round, and then in the next one, in the final matchup of this quarter, we are going to have Jessie Alaban from the United States taking on Tainara Conti out of Brazil. Now Conti
she's a badass
last year. Yeah, you think so?
Yes, she's one that I have. I don't want to go too far in advance, but I've got Tainara Conti for a Final Four. I think she's going to go. Yeah, I think so.
Well, I
think she's going to surprise some people in this tournament.
Wow. Well, with me knocking Mercedes, I think she'd be the favorite to come out of this quarter.
Yes,
but that would open the door for a Lane or a Conti to really make a run.
Mm-hmm.
And that thinking about this from a sports perspective, that would be very interesting to me. And I've got Lane and Conti meeting in the second round. That's a very intriguing matchup. Now,
yes,
Conti, like I said, was in the tournament last year, and
right.
I think she worked a very short match, and I just remember her being the Brazilian girl with the Brazilian jiu-jitsu gimmick.
Yeah,
I'm sure she's got some pretty legitimate credentials. Looks like she's a blue belt in BJJ, but a black belt in judo.
Yeah,
just like Ronda Rousey.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
And I think that will. I think that's going to get acknowledgement and a lot of mention.
It definitely gives her an edge, having these legitimate credentials in this tournament. There's really no one else like it.
Right.
And it makes for some interesting matchups down the line. If they decide to push her, you can put her against any of the 4 horsewomen with MMA backgrounds, and I think that could be fun. But we'll see how much she's improved. I do have her moving on here, and we'll just have to wait and see. But again, I'm kind of intrigued by her.
Yeah.
There's a lot of competitors in this tournament that were you saw them last year, and you kind of looked at them as projects,
right?
And you could kind of tell that WWE was going to keep them around because of the way JR kind of talked them up in a certain way, and we'll get to that.
Yeah.
I'll mention all the names that I have, labeled with that label, but I want to see how they improved, and Tainara Conti's no exception. So I've got her moving on to the second round.
She is the last person, I think, to qualify, wasn't she? I think so. I think Tainara Conti was the very last one to qualify.
I know she won a qualifying match. I forget if it was this year or last year. I just happened to see that on Google. So
yeah, I want to say this year she just qualified, like most recently.
At the top of the next quarter, we've got a favorite of you and me, Toni Storm, taking on Ginny from England. What do you think about this?
I think Toni Storm's going to dominate.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a real showcase match for her. I don't know too much about Ginny. She was trained by Jimmy Havoc over in the UK, and she's wrestled all over the UK independents. So maybe someone
they're tough over there. Those UK independents are no joke. Like they don't mollycoddle their women in the UK the way we kind of do over here in America.
Oh yeah?
Interesting. Yeah. Think about the way like Paige came up. Look at Sweet Saraya Knight.
That's true.
Look at Saraya Knight. That girl, oof. Saraya Knight's literally old enough to be Paige's mom because she is Paige's mom, and I still wouldn't piss her off.
Yeah, I mean they violate so many child labor laws.
Yeah. Oops.
Shout out Steven Jackson if you're listening to this. Just giving the UK some love here. But yeah, I think methinks showcase for Toni Storm here.
Yep. I'm 100% in agreement. Yes.
Moving on. Speaking of the devil, Rachel Evers taking on Hiroyo Matsumoto from Japan. I don't think I butchered that one too bad.
No, I think nailed it.
Bit of a toss up here, I think.
Yeah.
You know anything about Matsumoto?
Not much. Other than she's Japanese. That's about as far as I've got. I am not familiar with Hiroyo Matsumoto at all.
Yeah, I'm not so much either. But the Japanese women are among the world's best workers, men or women.
Again, it's like I was saying about the UK. The Japanese, if the UK don't give their women any breaks, the Japanese damn sure don't.
It's no coincidence, right?
Yeah.
I consider Asuka to be probably a top 3 worker in the company.
Easily.
man or woman, and you can even make the
Absolutely.
case for number one. But this is a toss-up, and Rachel Evers, I get a kick out of this so much because you think she's like Lance Storm's daughter, but she's actually
Right.
Paul Ellering's daughter. And it's like Lance
It's
Storm does have a daughter, but
right. It's an interesting name choice for sure. I don't know. I'm sure she had her reasons for choosing it.
It's even funnier because last year she was in the tournament with Tessa Blanchard, and while she was Tessa Blanchard, Rachel Ellering had to be Rachel Evers.
How weird is that?
I don't know. I'd like to know the inside story on that.
Is it because Ellering is working with is it the Authors of Pain?
Well, he was.
Is that who he works with?
Remember, they took him off the road.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, are they trying to avoid that connection for some reason?
No, because they play. Remember, they fully acknowledged that she's Paul Ellering's daughter in that video package last year.
Right. But I know how WWE is, though. Are they trying to retcon that this year?
No, I don't think Paul Ellering's on the naughty list or anything like that. I can't see why.
No, I can't either.
I don't know. Vince McMahon works in weird ways.
I think this is gonna this as far as booking falls on who they think they can spotlight and get more mileage out of. I don't know who that would be. If I had to guess, I would think that WWE would probably put a little more oomph behind Rachel Ellering Evers, for the simple fact that they're so high on promoting second, third generation superstars, and it would just be another down the line build her up for the inevitable versus Flair versus Natty second, third generation type thing.
Yeah.
Type feuds.
Well, I think they're a long way from that. Between her and Tessa Blanchard last year, Blanchard was much further along than Evers was. Yeah. But at the same time, you could see the potential. Very strong. She's got that lifting background that Paul Ellering did.
Right.
And it shines through in her very power-paced offense. So I think it's gonna be a good clash of styles between Evers and the Japanese Matsumoto. I think
power versus probably a super technical / strong style.
Right. Well, yeah. I don't know much about Matsumoto. She is 5'5", so she's not that short. But in comparison to, I guess, Shirai and Sane. But yeah, I would say more of a power versus technique. That's going to be kind of the story of this match. And I think Rachel Evers goes over because she did the job in the first round last year, and this year they're going to give her some more face time. And remember, the winner gets to work with Toni Storm. Now, Storm's not like the veteran that a Mercedes Martinez would be, but she's an incredible worker, and anybody that gets to go up against her is going to get some kind of rub.
Right.
And obviously, I don't know if Matsumoto's under contract. I'd imagine that Evers is in the Performance Center.
Yeah,
makes sense
I would
to
think
me.
so. Yeah.
She, by the way, is also the girlfriend of Cassius Ohno. I don't know if you knew that or not.
I did not.
Why do I know all these? Oh yeah,
normally I do. It's nice to hear someone else who knows who's dating who in wrestling.
Well, yeah, because Ohno was. I remember him cheering her on in the front row last year.
Oh.
Yeah.
I wonder if she irons his girdles. Sorry.
Yeah, I wonder.
I'm sorry.
Moving on.
He's a thick boy.
Yeah.
That's a beefy man.
You know how he got that? He got that size, right? He would after his matches, he would just eat like a pint of ice cream.
I respect him because WWE pressured him to lose weight, and he said, "F you, I'm not doing it." They fired him. He went out on the indies and showed them, "Look what I can do, even at this size," and they hired him back. It was almost like I like that. He stood by. He's like, no, I'm gonna roll with this gut, whether you like it or not.
I'm gonna roll with my role.
Yeah, exactly. And
to be fair though, he really did himself a disservice in gaining all that weight. Like
absolutely,
he could have been like a top guy on the main roster, and now
he will never be looked at that way.
No, and yeah, he looks different's good. I like different, and
sure.
But it's not. He's not. I don't look at him the way I once did, and it's not just the way he's being booked on NXT. I remember he was wearing.
Honestly,
he was wearing.
I joke about it, like how he was like, "Oh, I'm going to stick to this," but like, dude, you had the key to the castle, and all you had to do was take care of your body, and you opted not to. Like that, to me, was a little like, "Come on, dude, get in the damn gym, do the stomach crunches, man. Come on."
Yeah. I just remember him wearing a white USA Dream Team outfit. Because that's what he wears, like the basketball jerseys. And he tucked
He's very into basketball and hip hop. He is.
It's cool. I like the gimmick. And I like the outfit generally. But when white can be a very unflattering color.
Indeed.
You know what I mean? So he just looked awful. But you could see the stretch marks through the shirt.
He looked like a melted vanilla ice cream cone. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe one that he might enjoy.
Yes.
Yeah. Next up in the bottom half of the second quarter, we've got Mia Yim coming back to the tournament. And she'll be taking on. I just have the last names on. Yes, Allison Kay of the United States.
Oh, that's going to be an excellent match.
Now, Kay, you said was Sienna from TNA, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know if these two ever met in TNA?
I'm pretty sure they have. But I have my brother here. Let me get another vote. Sienna and when Mia Yim was in TNA, did Sienna and Mia Yim Jade, right?
Jade.
Yeah. Did they ever?
They had that dollhouse storyline, right?
Was before Sienna.
Jade was in and out before Sienna.
Yeah.
Okay.
She still might have been around before when Sienna was going on, but Jade was already doing a little thing. She was part of Tiffany Taryn Terrell's group.
Oh, okay. So yeah. Jade had already moved into like Taryn Terrell's little group, and there was by the time Sienna got big.
It says
got it.
It says here on Wikipedia, under the name Sienna, she debuted by attacking Jade, then engaged in a feud with both Gail Kim and Jade by joining an alliance with Maria and Allie, establishing herself as a villain.
Was that Maria Kanellis? Was she there then?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay,
that's
Maria
right.
Kanellis.
Sienna defeated Madison Rain, became the number one contender for Jade in the Knockouts Championship.
Okay, so she debuted by attacking Jade.
Slammiversary Sienna captured the TNA Knockouts Championship by defeating Jade and Gail Kim after Marty Bell returned and attacked Jade. So
they've worked in the ring, but it's been 2014, 2015.
Yeah, and I don't know if it was I don't know if they had a one-on-one match. Everything I just described.
But it sounds like it was pretty convoluted with Allie and Maria and Gail Kim. There was a lot of extemporaneous women's.
Yeah, it was all multi-women matches and angles. So, but still, these two have a history.
They know each other. They have a history, yes.
And they're gonna go, and it's gonna be fun to watch. Jenna, who you got?
Allison Kay.
Really?
Yep.
How come?
I think she has. I know Mia Yim has been one of the most raved about, like, critical darlings, but a lot of times when I look at these kind of tournaments in WWE, I see who's a butt kicker, who's can go in the ring, but I also think who's got a look that WWE will market. And Allison Kay has always had the blonde streak and the little pinky up gimmick, and she's just she's such a fit for the women's division. I can see her down the line coming in and absolutely sticking it to Alexa Bliss. Like, oh, you think you're the goddess here? Oh no, sweetie. Pinky up, sit down. Like, I can absolutely see that feud happening in due time.
Did they sign her? Do you know?
I don't know. I know that she has been consistently at the Performance Center, and I know that she has had workouts with a couple of girls who are on the main roster currently. I don't know if that's just friendships that had been made in and around the business, or if that is indicative of something she's got in the works. But yeah,
it seems like they're just bringing her in for the tournament. But that kind of stuff changes. Speaking of last year's tournament, I don't mean to backtrack. One of the dark horse matches in that whole thing to me was actually Abby Lath versus Jazzy Gabert.
Jazzy is not back.
She's not.
I was expecting that.
Yeah,
but
she was so over.
She was, but I think the tournament really blew her up the way they're wanting this to blow up other women, because her name has been on the tip of everyone's tongue since then. And she has been steadily working. I hear her name all the time now. So she may have, at the risk of sounding snooty booty, she may have elevated herself above this tournament at this point.
Ooh. Well, my point
Not that I wouldn't mind seeing Jazzy Gabert back, because God knows it'd be great to see her in this environment again. But
yeah. And actually, I think I saw her like John Corrigan's tweet about the bracket that I put together.
Nice.
That was kind of cool.
Isn't that always the best feeling? Like when somebody like gives you a little love for something you do. That's why I was like, Beth Phoenix retweeted me. Woo.
Yeah, Conan retweeted one of my articles, I think.
Outstanding. Oh, Francine, when we did our Wrestling Mount Rushmore, she actually read it and told me, she was like, messaged me and said, thank you so much for the kind words.
Wow.
Really, yeah. I talk to her fairly frequently. Like, as I always joke, I'm like, I mean, we're basically BFFs now. Like, she's liked a couple of my tweets. I've liked a couple of hers. We've had a little back and forth. Basically, Francine is my best friend now. Like, we're totally best friends.
You don't think that dashes the credibility just a tad?
No, not at all. No, what are you talking about?
Nice. Well, anyway, my point was a great performance in this tournament can get anybody signed, right? It got Cedric Alexander signed in the Cruiserweight Classic, and now he's the champ. So we'll see what happens. I think this is a great first round matchup, and with Sienna's, Kay's.
I think they're gonna put on a clinic, no matter what. Those two are gonna rock together.
Could be the match of the first round, quite frankly.
Could be.
I have Mia Yim going on. I hear what you're saying about looks, but no one looks like Mia Yim either. You know?
True.
So she's got an interesting look to her, and she can wrestle, like you said, critically one of the better independent names out there.
Yeah.
And I think I think we'll get an interesting quarterfinal matchup down the line involving her and someone we already talked about. But we'll get to that.
Yes.
We'll get to that. Last match of this quarter is Caitlyn versus Kavita Devi.
From India.
Yeah. Again, another project name like I was talking about that was in the tournament last year.
Uh-huh.
She improves. But putting her with Caitlyn was never known as a ring technician.
Yeah.
So I wonder what they're going to be looking to do with this match.
That was my first thought. Was okay. I anticipated Kavita Devi's first match to be with someone who could sell for her and spotlight her strengths. You know what I mean? Like I was expecting this to be a showcase match, and I don't think Caitlyn is that kind of worker. I don't. I mean, she's been away for a few years though, so it's entirely plausible that Caitlin has worked up and reworked her style, and she might have a totally different in-ring style that might perfectly work for what they need for Kavita Devi. We don't know.
Yeah. Well, I don't think she'd be coming back, right? If there were any doubts that she could do it.
Right. And I think all of this depends on how serious is Caitlin about this quote unquote comeback. Is she just coming back to get a little shine and like a hey, don't forget Celestial Body supplements, or is she coming back to join up and do the 300 days a year again?
Yeah. Who you got?
I don't know. Kavita Devi.
Really? I mean,
yeah.
I shouldn't be surprised after that start we got off to here.
Now, just because I pick on the way Caitlin looks and all that, like, I respect that she's put the time in the ring, and I respect that she works hard, and I respect that she does way more than a lot do in the gym, and she is like a certified I know she's a certified personal trainer. She's I want to say like she's got a few different certifications, but I'm not knocking the girl's knowledge, athleticism, know-how. This is going to sound bad, but she was on the main roster working for championships, and she dipped out. Like, she ran away. She kind of took her ball and went home. Is she going to do that again? I guess that's what it comes down to.
Time will tell.
Yeah.
I don't think she's in here just to job out like Serena Deeb did last year. Although, did Serena win a match?
I don't think so.
I don't think she did either.
I don't believe she did.
Yeah. But I got Caitlin.
Think she was in and out.
I've definitely got Caitlin.
I figured
here.
You did.
So that
I'm
would.
Sure everyone has Caitlin there. I probably stand alone and pulling for the other. But yeah.
Well, listen, everybody likes nostalgia, so it's an interesting storyline. If she's able to come through, and Kavita Devi just doesn't really have the name behind her to really justify going over, I think. And that would then mean that we're gonna get Caitlin versus Mia Yim, or the former Sienna Allison Kay in the second, and that's interesting, I think.
And if that happens, I would have to say that I just don't see Caitlin going over either one of them. But yeah, I could see them bringing her back and letting her have win the first one in and all that. But I don't see her going past Allison Kay or Mia Yim. I just do not see that.
Yeah. Well, I got Caitlin here. Moving on to the third quarter. Starting off with someone who I think a lot of people will call the prohibitive favorite to come out of this quarter of the bracket. It's Tegan Knox from Wales, formerly Nixon Newell, and she'll be taking on Zatara from Chile, a masked wrestler.
Yes.
Do not know much about, but kind of looks like Sexy Star, which does not make me very
happy. A lot
happy.
of people have confused her for Sexy Star. Yeah. There's actually been talk about redesigning her gear somewhat just to refine it so that it does not. She's had some issues, which is ridiculous, but
it's not really her problem.
No, she shouldn't have to. But I'm behind Zatara all the way. I watched some of her stuff the other day. She's a dynamo, dude. She's a dynamo.
Wow.
She's a little powerhouse.
Wow.
She's quick. She's one of those that just like, she's so fluid and she's so smooth. Like, just watching her, she just glides. Her transitions between moves are so graceful. Like, you know how Ronda Rousey will literally pick someone up, roll through an instant. You're like, whoa, how did she get from having this girl in a fireman's carry to an armbar just that quick? Zatara moves like that. Every move is deliberate. Every move is, yeah.
Well, then this match should kick ass. Who you got?
Yes, Zatara.
Really?
Tegan is a badass that I do. I have Zatara.
I got Tegan.
Okay.
And that's only because I've not heard much of Zatara. But the hype on the internet for Tegan Knox has been pretty insane. Everybody's been asking about when she's debuting in NXT, and this is going to be the start of that. So we'll see. But based on what you're saying, though, I'm very hyped for this match now.
Yeah, it's going to be a great match. Tegan's style is not high flyer. It's more not power based, but
like a brawler, maybe.
Yeah, kind of a brawler, just kind of a mean. She's not going to go crazy with ridiculous like mat wrestling, but she'll beat you down. And Zatara is one of those that'll tie you up in knots and you won't see it coming. So I look forward to that matchup.
Hell yeah. I love the contrast in styles.
Absolutely.
Whenever they can do that in these types of tournaments.
Absolutely.
Big fan. Moving on. We've got two very interesting names. We've got Isla Dawn from Scotland taking on Nicole Matthews of Canada.
Nicole Matthews is one of my girls.
Yeah? Okay.
Yes. I have followed her for a few years now. She is incredibly versatile. She worked in Shimmer and Shine. Preliminary matches with Madison Eagles, who was the Shimmer champion for quite a while, who's like 6'1", just an absolute beast. And Nicole hung with her. She was tagging up with another girl named Portia Perez. They were a little tag team who just ran roughshod for quite a while in Shimmer, Shine, and was it Women Superstars Uncensored, I believe it's called. And they also have done a few things on like the Northeast independent circuit. But Nicole Matthews is she's smaller. She's one of those who's toned, but she's not like ripped. Like Caitlyn is just insanely
I've seen pictures
shape.
of her.
Yeah, but she's one of those who is deceptively powerful. Like, it doesn't surprise you that Caitlyn is strong. That girl has built herself. Her body is incredible. But Nicole Matthews, on the other hand, works out and is tough, but she doesn't have that jacked, I'm going to F your world up look, but she can do it. She's very cute, very deceptively powerful.
Well, there's all different kinds of strength.
Sure.
Like Cesaro is pound for pound the strongest guy in wrestling. And
easily, yeah.
And he doesn't necessarily have the biggest muscles. I mean, he's in phenomenal physical condition, peak physical condition. But as far as the size and the mass, it really all boils down to your genetics. But he's just freaking strong, like
right. Nicole's a little powerhouse.
Yeah, absolutely. Isla Dawn kind of does this like fantastic beast gimmick. It's very hard to describe, but she was on the UK tournament show in that triple threat match with Toni Storm and Killer Kelly.
Okay, that's who she is. Okay, thank you. I was drawing a blank. Yes, I've seen that match. Okay, that just made this very, very interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So she's a name we've seen before on WWE programming. That'll be a good match, I think.
Yes, it will.
I was impressed by all three of the women in that match. That wasn't like a match of the year candidate or anything like that, but it did a good job of showcasing and kind of previewing all three of them for this tournament.
Absolutely.
And that makes it interesting as to maybe who goes over here. Personally, I've got Nicole Matthews.
Yeah.
Based on everything I've read, another veteran that you can have go as far, or you could really do whatever you want with her. And
yeah,
given some of the names towards the bottom of this quarter that we'll get to in the next matchup, it's going to be very interesting to see if she can advance and kind of get a good match out of said name. So, speaking of the devil, in the third match of the third quarter, we will have MJ Jenkins from the United States taking on Rhea Ripley from Australia.
I've only seen a few little sizzle reels of Rhea Ripley. I'm not super familiar with her body of work. I'm excited to see some Australian women come over. It seems like aren't the Iconics Australian? They're Australian, aren't they?
Yes.
It's like Emma just opened the door, and now we've got the Iconics, and now I don't know. I just like Australian accents, and I just think they're cute. So I'm just excited about that. I'm just waiting for someone to bring a quokka with them. That would be awesome. But yeah, I had no familiarity really with MJ Jenkins.
Me neither.
Yeah, not super familiar with her.
Was she maybe like the fashionista character that they kind of teased in that video?
Yeah, I think so.
Was that her?
I think so.
If so, this is gonna be an interesting little match.
Yes,
because Rhea Ripley, so she was in the tournament last year, and you could tell in the commentary especially that she's someone that they
want us to look at,
develop, and another project player, like I said,
right.
So I'll be interested to see how she has improved. But last year she worked more as a face, and this year, based on that small clip that I saw, she looked really angry, like really aggressive. She was aggressive last year, but now she's going to have that edge to her character as well, it looks like.
Yeah. It looks like her character's a little darker than she was last year. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm interested to see her. She's 6 feet tall, and she hits hard.
And I think can't teach that.
No, you can't. I mean,
not in any school I've ever been to.
No. What was I gonna say then? She has a background in some sport. I don't remember if it was soccer or rugby or what. But she's tough.
Rhea Ripley? Probably rugby if she's Australian. You know, there's Australians. Everything in Australia at any given point is trying to kill you. So you have to be pretty tough to live in Australia.
Great
Between
analysis.
The giant spiders and the drop bears. Yeah, come on now.
She hits hard. She had she had an insane bicycle kick that I remember seeing last year. She's got these long legs, so it kind of works. I've got her advancing here.
A woman with long legs utilizing kicks. Okay, give me a few seconds to go on a side note here. This is one of my biggest things with Naomi. They keep giving her that stupid rear view finisher, like, oh, you're a black girl, so use your big booty. No. She's one of the baddest dancers ever. She is flexible and strong. Give that girl a kick-based offense. That girl is so limber. She could kick you 3 different ways and do it with the quickness of a professional boxer throwing punches. Kick-based offenses on long-legged girls. Do it, WWE. It would make everything look so badass.
I don't mean to like profile
Tangent
by race,
done.
But why not just give her Booker T's moveset?
Right. Just go ahead and let her do the spinneroonie and everything, the Naomi Rooney.
Well, he did the scissors kick, but then he also did that kick where he kind of wrenches the arm and then does like a turning side kick to the temple.
Oh yeah,
you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I mean, that'd be a good
dance. There's a move called a hitch kick, and literally you leap up, one knee comes to your chest. The other one kicks straight out in front of you. And a really good dancer does it that quickly. Just boom, boom. It's like a second and a half and the kick is, up. And she's done hitch kicks when she's dancing in her intro. So I know that she can do one that is incredibly elevated, and she's got the muscle control that she could do it and make it look killer. I just think a kick-based offense with Naomi's long legs and her dance background would be bomb. And it's so nice to see a long-legged woman utilizing a kick-based offense.
Educated
That's my
feet,
tangent.
as Jim Ross
Exactly.
Likes to say. Nothing wrong with that. I think he said that about Rhea Ripley last year.
Putting those educated feet to good use.
Something like that. Yeah. Well, anyway,
if you've ever played the WWE video games, you've heard that expression, putting those educated feet to good use. You got Rhea?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think she's got a chance to really give the fans and management something to think about here. So
I think so too.
Showcase for her, I think. And the last match of this quarter, we've got Casey Catanzaro. She'll be taking on Reina Gonzalez from the United States as well.
These are another couple who's I am not familiar with Casey at all.
Sorry. No. Casey Catanzaro she's the American Ninja Warrior.
Oh boy, that just made this a lot more interesting, didn't it?
Yeah, I knew I recognized the name.
Okay, see, when I think of the American Ninja Warrior, what's that? Jessie Glenn or something like that. There was another girl who was just an unbelievable, like, superhuman competitor. I think her name was Jessie something, and she always wore like superhero costumes when she competed because she was like a freaking superhero. She was unreal.
Okay, well, yeah. So I picked her to go over, but I had forgotten that I knew they were bringing this contestant from American Ninja Warrior. She's been training wrestling for a while though, and from everything I've heard, she's taken to it quite well.
I can imagine so.
But is she going to have the experience to make a run here, and really like make herself look good and get herself over? That's the $1 million question. But I can't wait to find out. But I do think she goes over here.
I do too.
Because there's some hype behind that. She's got a pretty
why bring her in if you're not gonna build on that? Yeah.
She's got a pretty lengthy Wikipedia bio too. Real decorated obstacle competitor. And it looks like she was in D1 gymnastics as well.
So she was a Division I gymnast as well. Okay.
Yeah.
That's like that's almost elite level.
Yeah.
Division I is basically like your NCAA competitors.
And this validates my pick of her even more, because if she wins that, she's going to face Rhea Ripley in the second round.
Oh yeah, that'd
be a tremendous
that's a
clash
dream
of
match
styles.
Just to watch. Yeah, that would be an awesome thing to watch. Yeah, my money is definitely on her. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and we'll visit that when we hit the later rounds. But top of the fourth quarter, probably the favorite to win the whole tournament, just by virtue of being a popular pick for the best women's wrestler in all the world. Io Shirai taking on what's her first name? I only put the last names on my. Oh yes, Zia Brookside.
Yeah.
What do you think?
My question is Zia Brookside kin to like Robbie Brookside and the Brookside family in England?
Yes. This is not a situation of them taking a popular name and just applying it to any old wrestler. Zia Brookside,
she is a legitimate blood relative.
Zia Brookside is the stepdaughter of Robbie Brookside, and she's only 19 years old.
Ooh.
So I think that makes her the youngest competitor in this tournament.
So she's got youth, but she's also got one of the most established names in UK history as basically like her backbone in this. That is going to be a very interesting first round match. Honestly, I think they're going to showcase Zia, and I think, like you call them, the project people. I think that she's going to get put over hella strong, but I just don't think she's going to get past Shirai.
Couldn't agree more. And if you remember, with Akari Sane last year, they showcased everybody against her for a good part of those matches, only for Sane to eventually get the win with that awesome elbow she does.
Her elbow is a thing of beauty.
But I think you're going to see a lot of the same this year. And again, not to profile, but I can't blame them. You got one of the top 3 or 4 women's wrestlers in all the world here.
Right.
Arguably the best, again. And you're giving a 19-year-old wrestling prodigy, essentially, a chance to work with her on what'll be a sizable stage.
Yes. Like, you can't ask for a better. You're going to get the rub no matter what. You just got to go out there and do right. And she will come out. You know, like Bret Hart says, sometimes the losses make you more than your wins. This is an opportunity for a loss to really make her and help. Almost like just another laurel, just another part of what she will eventually become.
Couldn't agree more. Next up, we've got Zuzis from Puerto Rico taking on Ariel Monroe from the United States.
Okay. These are 2 that I am not familiar with. I am not super knowledgeable.
Is also a masked wrestler, in addition to the aforementioned Zatara. Yeah.
Okay. I don't think I've seen Zeus's. I'm not, because I was looking at the name when I was writing down my notes, like writing down like Ariel Monroe, and I was just got nothing.
Yeah, I got nothing either. I'm assuming another project of theirs. Yes. But I think what you're going to see out of this match is a lot of bad guy versus good guy stuff.
Yeah.
One of the most notable things about Zeus is that she portrays a Ruda, or bad guy wrestling character,
she's
in CMLL.
Okay. Yep, she is Puerto Rican, so yeah, it makes sense that she would do the lucha libre style.
Yeah.
Lucha libre.
And the thing about Ariel Monroe, what you can say is that she spells her name not like Ariel the Mermaid, but like Aerial Assault.
Yep, I noticed that too, and I thought, okay, that's an interesting amalgamation or a portmanteau of names. Monroe like Marilyn Monroe, Ariel like Aerial Assault. There's some thought put into that.
Yeah, I like it.
Me too.
Who you got?
I'm gonna go with our little Ruda. I think our little masked butt kicker is probably gonna be the one with her hand raised in this one.
Me too. When in doubt, always err on the side of experience. And that makes for an interesting clash with Shirai in the second round. But moving on to the second half of the final quarter, you've got let me see here. Yes, Priscilla Kelly and Deonna Purrazzo.
Yep. Priscilla Kelly is one who, if I'm thinking of the right girl, and I could be wrong, don't quote me on this, but this is one who came up doing the indies, but has been marred by injury a couple of times and has not reached her full potential because more than once she's had to sit back and heal up. I might be wrong, but I think that's who that is.
Well, Priscilla Kelly is 21 years old. She's best known for appearances in Shine Wrestling.
Okay, yep, that is who I'm talking about then. Yep. Shine, Shimmer, she's in that group of girls with like Portia Perez, Nicole Matthews, cheerleader Melissa Santana Garrett, Jessica Havoc, those girls who have worked over there. Yes.
Gotcha.
She's a tough little chick.
Yeah, so is Deonna Purrazzo, though.
Not familiar with her.
Really?
Fill me in on this chick. Was she here last year?
She's considered to be one. She was considered to be. No, she wasn't. She's considered to be one of the top women's like free agents out there. She is dating Marty Skrull.
Okay. I know who she is now.
She's really short and she's got a real Italian look to her.
I was gonna say she's the real teeny tiny girl with the dark hair.
Yes, but she can work really well, and she's served as enhancement talent on NXT a few times. She did on again, off again, 4 years in TNA.
Was it under that name?
Yeah, she's always wrestled under this name, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's someone I've got earmarked to make a bit of a run.
Yeah.
So I do have her going over.
Me too. I'm gonna have to go with her. Yeah. Priscilla Kelly's a tough girl, but she's young. I see this as being another one of those. She'll get some offense in, she'll get a little rub, but Purrazzo's gonna move forward.
Yeah, I imagine Purrazzo's gonna sell a lot of the match because that's one of her strengths.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so that's what I got. And last match of the first round, it's gonna be a match of the China women. It's Zia Lee, who I believe was in the tournament last year, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe so.
She'll be taking on Karen Q.
Karen Q,
who's half Chinese, half American.
Karen Q is a badass.
What do you know about Karen Q?
That she has a very you can't box her style in. You can't say she's a brawler, she's a high flyer. She is just as comfortable outside the ring throwing forearms and fists as she is doing Fonsbury flop. Like she can turn on a dime. Like she has really, really good what's the word I'm looking for? She has great ring awareness. She's very fluid. She can react quickly. And if her opponent wants to fly and wants to fight that way, then she can fight that way. If her opponent wants to get down and dirty, she can fight that way. Extremely, extremely versatile woman.
Okay. Well, should be a good match then.
Absolutely.
China versus China is compelling. And from what I remember, Zia Lee, she's the last of these projects from last year's tournament. But I remember coming away very impressed with her offense.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't remember exactly anything she did that stood out.
She's also just incredibly fluid, very smooth.
Yep.
Like she looks like she's gliding through the ring.
Mm-hmm. What I do remember is that she was not. She had less than a year of wrestling experience under her belt at the time of that match. In fact, I think that was her first match ever.
Zia Lee, that's in the tournament last year?
Yeah, didn't she work? I feel like she might have worked Shayna or someone like that.
Possibly. I'm gonna have to go back and look that up. I don't remember that.
I got the 2017 tournament right here. Zeta worked Shayna Baszler. Zia Lee worked Mercedes Martinez. That's right.
Okay.
But yeah, I do remember coming away kind of impressed.
Cool.
So,
well, I look forward to this. Now, my money is going to be on my girl Karen because I see big things in her future.
Okay. Well, I've never seen her before, so now I'm curious. It's kind of why we're doing this preview, though. Get everybody up to speed and educated. I picked Zia Lee here, just for the familiarity.
Sure.
But I think they'll have a fine match. And I think what's interesting is there will not be maybe this is by design. There will be no language barrier. In theory.
Good point. I thought about that too. Yeah.
So they're going to be able to do whatever they want to do without any limitations.
They can communicate and do anything they want to do. You're right.
Yeah, because remember that was a big problem with the original Mystico Sin Cara.
Yes.
He didn't want to put in the time to learn English.
Yeah.
And so he couldn't. He didn't know anything. He didn't know anything. He couldn't.
He was limited to working with like Unico, and Primo, Epico, and
Rey Mysterio.
And for a while, Alberto Del Rio, until he pissed him off once and for all.
Yeah.
I hurt my finger. Oh, come on, dude.
Right. So yeah, that's the first round, and those are all the matchups we know are going to be happening.
Yep.
But I think some of the predictions that I made and that you made are pretty concrete, and we pretty much know they're going to happen. So a lot of what we do from here on out will have some merit, I think. At the start of the second round, I have Ashley Rain versus Killer Kelly. I would have Rain going over in that scenario.
Yeah.
And then in the second match, one that I'm a little more confident in, you have Lacey Lane taking on Tamara Conti. Very interesting.
Yeah. I have a lot of, like I said, I don't know what it is. Like Tamara Conti, just something about her. I feel like there's mileage in her. I could be, of course, totally wrong, but something about her. It's like that intangible. It's like I just feel like she's going to impress a lot of people.
I hope so. It would definitely be a new phase, and one of the stories of the tournament if she can make a run here.
Yeah.
It's not like she's got a lot standing in her way. I mean, Lacey Lane could be in line for a push here as well. That's really what this match is going to boil down to, and the winner is going to, in my bracket, takes on Rain in the quarterfinals, and then that's an opportunity to advance to the final four. And I do have the winner of this match beating Ashley Rain and advancing to the final four, and I picked Lacey Lane, but Conti, now that you mentioned it, could be interesting as well.
I think she's a dark horse. I think she's one to watch.
Good. Well, hopefully the viewers and listeners will be watching for that.
Yes.
And then in the second quarter, I had Toni Storm advancing to face Rachel Evers in a very interesting, interesting match. Obviously, Toni Storm is going to advance. But I don't know if it's going to be the same as an Io Shirai, where you're going to see Storm selling a lot. Last year, she kind of steamrolled through the competition up until she lost to
Baszler? No.
Maybe.
Was it Baszler?
Maybe.
You have to be my age, you forget things.
Just a second. Yeah, she actually lost to Kairi Sane.
Oh,
Martinez went with Baszler in the semis.
Yeah, that's who it was.
So, yeah, Toni Storm obviously advancing, and I do like her a lot in this tournament. Last year wasn't quite her year. I thought last year's tournament was booked masterfully. I wouldn't have done it any different, but this year there's more opportunity for her. Yes. So I do have her. Yes, I do have her advancing there. And
I feel like last year was a good year to showcase her. This year is a good year to elevate her.
Yeah, I mean, she's still young, and by all accounts, she's improved even since then. And then she was 21 years old.
Right.
Still barely old enough to drink. Imagine that.
Right.
So, and then in the third match, in the second match of that quarter, I have Mia Yim versus Caitlyn, although it could very well also be Kay versus Caitlyn. No matter which matchup we get, assuming Caitlyn does advance, it's going to be interesting.
Absolutely.
You've got a more veteran name in TNA, a better worker taking on Caitlyn, where she's kind of like this unknown quantity. And that's kind of the story there. But I don't think I do have Caitlyn's run coming up short here. I don't see her beating I don't see her beating Allison Kay or Mia Yim here. So
no, but yeah, I can see her getting through her first. Yeah, like you said, I can't imagine her coming in just a job out. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'd have Yim moving on to take on Toni Storm with a shot in the final 4 on the line. It'd be a great match. Same with Allison Kay, Toni Storm. Because I do think the winner of that match makes it to the 3rd round. But I got Toni Storm going over Mia Yim here, which would have her taking on Lacey Lane in my final 4, with Toni Storm moving on as a heavy favorite there. Just too much. And that would put her in the final. I think she's got a pretty clear path, don't you?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. I think it's pretty cut and dried for her.
Yeah. And then moving on to the other side of the bracket. You like Zatara a lot.
I do.
I did pick Tegan Knox here, but the winner of that match is probably going to face Nicole Matthews.
Yes.
So that's an interesting clash. What would you think
either
about?
Way.
Yeah, either way.
Honestly, Zatara, I couldn't see. I don't see beating Nicole Matthews. Now, Tegan Knox, I could see that being a knockdown drag out, like just a brutal. I don't know that I would put Nicole over Tegan, simply because Tegan is. I have a hard time separating like who I can see them pushing, and that always factors in to my decision.
Right.
If it was up to me, I would push Nicole Matthews over, but I see Tegan Knox. If it was between her and Nicole Matthews, I would see Tegan Knox taking that one. Yeah.
It's one thing to win a match in this type of tournament. It's another to win a couple matches and then kind of get that rub.
Right.
Personally, from the limited stuff that I've seen of Nicole Matthews, I'm a big fan. And I think she'll advance here.
Yeah.
I do. Yeah. Now, what you said about not being able to see Matthews come out on top in a matchup with Knox, I just wouldn't know much about that. So, yeah, like I said, we'll see what happens. But either way,
Nicole is definitely the more seasoned veteran, though, and if it came down to it, yeah.
Based on what you said, it should be a great match either way.
Absolutely.
If that's the way they go. And then, yeah, I had Rhea Ripley advancing out of the first round, and she'll take on Casey Catanzaro, which should be a very interesting match if they go that route.
Yep.
Ripley, again, 6 feet tall. Catanzaro, very short. How short? Let's find out.
I think she's 5'1".
She's 5 feet tall.
5 feet tall. Yeah, I was gonna say I knew she was itty bitty.
Not only is she 5 feet tall, guess how much she weighs?
God, like 90 pounds, probably 95
pounds. 95.
Yep.
95.
Tiny
less than
little thing.
Pounds. So the story is obvious. I think we're definitely getting this match. You have a 6 foot tall woman. She's gonna have a foot on Casey Catanzaro.
Yes, and whoever works with Casey Catanzaro is gonna have to figure out a way to sell for her that doesn't make them look weak. It was like the whole Undertaker versus Rey Mysterio thing. How are you going to realistically work that match?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But it's a good challenge for someone with Rhea Ripley's experience to have.
Sure.
In her belt, because most of the time she is going to be working with women smaller than her.
Right.
It'll be a good learning experience, I think. But I'm just very interested to see what that match sort of yields. But that said, I can't conceivably see Catanzaro going over on Ripley.
No.
And I know they're high on Rhea, so I would have her winning that. Would you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And then in the that would then set up for me Ripley versus probably Matthews or Knox. I have Matthews. And I would have Matthews going over Ripley there one more time.
Yeah.
Which would send her to the semifinals. And then moving to that fourth quarter, I've got Shirai versus Zuzis. Both pretty experienced. They've wrestled in the top promotions in their respective regions, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Zuzis and CMLL, Shirai all over Japan.
Yeah.
But again, I think with Shirai, one of the best workers, I think a lot of people are saying that they don't think she'll go over in and win the tournament because they're not going to do 2 Japanese champions in a row. What do you think of that?
I've thought about that too. And if I'm being totally blunt, this is going to come down to who is overseeing the Mae Young Classic. If this is one of those cases where Vince has the final say, then no, you're not going to get 2 Japanese women back to back. If it's a matter of Vince or Triple H and Stephanie's control, it's entirely plausible that we could have 2 back to back. Because, again, this sounds bad, but Vince McMahon has never had a real grasp on how to book Asian men or women, whereas Triple H understands how to book them to their strengths. So Kairi Sane they're such different characters to me, or they're such different. Kairi has the cute pirate gimmick with the little looking glass and the little cute accessories, whereas Shirai is just an ass kicker.
Yep.
And even though they're both Asian women, I don't feel like it would feel redundant for them to win 2 years in a row.
Yeah, I've thought about that too. I like Kairi Sane more than Shirai personally because I just like the whole pirate persona. And I like the way they've kind of developed her character a little bit in NXT.
Me too.
I think she definitely has a real grasp for that. Will Shirai have the same type of grasp for that? Time will tell. We'll see. We'll see. But yeah, I think she'll take down Zuzis in advance here. But
yeah, I think so too.
In the second match of that quarter, you would have Deonna Purrazzo taking on the winner of Xia Li versus Karen Q.
And my money's on Karen Q.
You think Karen Q would then go to the quarters against Shirai?
That I don't know. I don't know that they will stack it that much with Asian women. I think that would be overkill, and I imagine that somebody would have to take the fall. And I see Shirai going all the way to the end. I don't know that Karen Q will. She is not as many people rave about her. Like, she's really one of my pet favorites. One of my keep an eye on this girl. I'm telling y'all types. But she doesn't have the chorus of cheerleaders that Shirai does. No, I don't know that Karen Q would make it that far. No. I want to believe, but I don't think so.
It's reasonable. I just think Purrazzo versus Shirai is a bit of a dream match for
a lot of people,
independent wrestling fans out there.
Yeah,
that follow the careers of both. So I think that's what we're gonna get. And again, I don't see Shirai losing that match.
I don't either.
Which would then put her in the final 4. So I've already kind of went through it. But what would your final 4 kind of look like, Jenna?
Shirai. And it's funny. I had not given Purrazzo any of that consideration until talking to you, and now I'm looking at her like, well, crap. I had seen I'm looking Shirai, Martinez. I for what it's worth, I see Allison Kay going far. And Toni Storm. I think Toni Storm's going to hang on to the end. I think for sure we're going to see Shirai and Storm.
You think that's the final?
I think so.
It's what I have for the final as well. But going back to Kay, I like I said, I think whoever wins that Kay versus Yim match is going to eventually face Toni Storm, and you think Storm would go over both of them?
I do.
Okay.
I do.
Okay, so that would make the final Toni Storm versus Io Shirai in what should be a phenomenal final. Any way you want to slice it.
Yeah.
Who do you think wins that match, which would take place at the Evolution show?
It's really up in the air. That's one of those. That's what's going to make it such a good match in the event that that's the final, because it's one of those that you look at them and they're standing across the ring from each other. And with all of our smart knowledge and all of our reading up and reading dirt sheets, you just don't know. Those are the best matches when you just don't know.
And it was the same thing for last year's final too.
Yeah. Like you look at it and you're like, I've read everything I can read. I've followed these careers. I just don't know. If I absolutely just had to choose, I think it would be Toni Storm's year.
I would think that as well. But remember, she's already got an NXT title shot.
Oh, God. She won that 3-way match.
Unless that's happened already.
Yeah, she won that? Isn't that what it was? Didn't she win was it a 3-way match that she was in that she won it? The title shot?
Yeah, she beat Killer Kelly and Isla Dawn.
Yep. So it's entirely, man, that's a whole other wrinkle. I guess it just depends on how much they want to put Toni Storm over. Do they want to put their eggs in one basket? And because right now, with the exception of Shayna, they don't have a dominant woman in NXT that, like, Shayna just kind of, it feels like she overwhelms everybody. If Toni Storm has won this NXT title shot, if she also wins the Mae Young tournament, that could shape her up upon signing to NXT to be a formidable threat to Shayna. That does not seem to exist right now in the NXT women's division.
She's got a bright future, no doubt about it. I'm reading here that she is under contract and is specifically under contract to the NXT UK brand.
Okay.
For what it's worth. So I don't know how that's going to work. The way I envision it working is that the UK brand will be somewhat of a second territory for NXT, where you can send not necessarily UK superstars, but anybody that just needs some freshening up on a different show with a different roster with a different set of opponents. Like I imagine that Danny Burch and Oni Lorcan from NXT are going to be part of that as well.
Oh, sure.
Even though Lorcan's American, and they did put Americans in the UK tournament this year.
They did. They did. So, yeah, I can see overlap between the two. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Gulak was in it. So,
yeah.
Anyways, yeah, who wins Storm and Shirai if that happens? And I think it will. I would say Toni Storm.
Yeah.
But I just don't know the mechanics of how that would work for her NXT title shot. Because the winner gets an NXT title shot, right?
Right.
Yeah, Kairi Sane did last year.
Mm-hmm.
But gun to my head, I'd probably say Storm wins.
Yeah.
But Shirai's the best. But that's what makes it exciting too. Like again, last year you had Shayna Baszler. It was like, oh, Shayna's got all that momentum. But Kairi Sane, is the best worker in this tournament and probably deserves it the most.
Right.
So could have went either way. And I'm glad it worked out the way it did. I think we're going to
go that way again.
Wait, which way?
Just the same way, like where you've got somebody with all this momentum and all of this, and then you've got another person, but this person is a better worker. This person, you know what I mean? so it can really go either way. I feel like we've got a potential for another final to be another nail biter. I don't know who's going to win kind of final.
That makes two
I'm
of us. I'm
excited for it.
Yeah, I mean, without a doubt. Let me see here. Do you know when the TV show's starting up for this?
I do not.
Oh, okay. You know, I'm sorry, I found it.
Oh,
It's gonna air every Wednesday.
I think it's August 8th. They said August 8th and 9th, 2018, and then
yeah,
we've already started some matches. Yeah,
it's been taped, but it's gonna air on the WWE Network. The Mae Young Classic 2018 will air every Wednesday after WWE NXT beginning on September 5th.
Cool. Okay.
So they're really gonna drag this out. Personally, I liked.
How am I going to avoid spoilers? Jesus.
Yeah, people were very critical of the binge style and kind of wanted it to go back to this Cruiserweight Classic format, and they did that now. But at the same time, it's going to be a lot of waiting around when you've had these matches in the can for over a month. Weeks. By the time we get to the final, it'll probably be more like two months.
Yeah.
So be on the lookout for that, and you know, if you want to check out a printable bracket, we've got them over at the Wrestling Estate website. Jenna, why don't you tell the kind listeners how they can get in touch with you on social media?
You can find me on YouTube. I am Jenna Lee's Beauty Slam, the home of Southern sarcasm, lipstick, and chick kicks. On Twitter, I am Miss Jenna _Lee. On Instagram, Miss_Jenna _Lee. You seeing a pattern here? And on Snapchat, I'm Cute Cat Lady. Come hang out with me. I'm a barrel of monkeys.
Have you trademarked that underscore?
I should. I use it in everything.
It's big business in 2018, I hear.
Big business.
Yeah.
I've trademarked the name of my followers, my subs, because I wear glitter. I'm the silly sparkly girl, Jen Sparkly.
Yeah.
We're the Sparkle Army.
I like that. Like the Chain Gang.
Exactly. The Sparkle Army. Sounds tough, don't it?
And the Roman Empire.
Yes, exactly.
Good God.
Denim. Did you ever see the picture of him in the dad jeans that everyone was memeing to death?
No.
The picture of when he did
send that to me.
Yes, I will. But it was just a picture when he did the commercial with his daughter where they did the I'm a Little Teapot. He was wearing some super duper dad jeans, and someone uploaded a picture, and I said ever since then when I hear his theme song, all I hear is denim, 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 denim. That's all I hear.
I like that. But you should also, and I'll send you the link to this, Roman Reigns theme song with lyrics.
Oh God.
I don't know if you've ever seen that.
I have not.
One of the lines is like, Roman Reigns, the guy with the biggest pecs. Roman Reigns, the guy who has lots of sex.
Yes.
and
that's outstanding.
And many other goodies. Yeah, wrestling fans are the comedy on Squared Circle is phenomenal.
Absolutely.
But yeah, anyways, you can follow the Wrestling Estate on Twitter at The Wrestling EST. You can follow myself, Jack Goodwillie, at Jack Goodwillie. That is my name. Next week, I think we are going to have Anthony Mihalis on the show to preview SummerSlam, which is coming up on August 19th, right around the corner. So be on the lookout for that. Thanks for listening, everybody.
And hey, real quick, tell everybody to check out our most recent roundtable on the history of SummerSlam, where we all discussed our favorite SummerSlam moments, favorite SummerSlam themes, et cetera, because that's up right now.
Yes.
Go do that.
Yeah, always be on the lookout for our roundtables every Friday. This week it's SummerSlam. Lots of good discussion, theme songs, favorite matches, favorite moments, favorite pay-per-views, the works. It's always good stuff. So that being said, I'm Jack Goodwillie. Thanks again. Once again joined by Jenna's Beauty Slam. And we'll have to have you back on again. This was a lot of fun.
Likewise, I enjoyed it. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Take care, everybody.